Something is deeply wrong. You can feel it. So what has happened to us? And what should we do about it? Join the Finding Gnosis show. It's an open panel for people trying to figure out what's really going on in this strange existence, and what we should be doing while we're here. Join us as we all find Gnosis together. Gnosis is knowledge. We need to find out what's going on. We need to find out what we should be doing. Chat soon on the Finding Gnosis show.
Disclaimer. This show is for discussion and entertainment purposes only. The Finding Gnosis show is a platform for open discussion, exploration, and opinion sharing. The views expressed by hosts, guests, and participants are personal opinions and do not constitute professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. All topics discussed are only intended to spark curiosity, entertain, and encourage independent thought. If any subject interests you, we strongly advise conducting your own thorough research using reliable and professional sources. Critical thinking and due diligence is key. Stay curious, stay informed, be well, be lucky, and don't be an arsehole.
Take a slow, deep breath in and let it go again. Breathe in and slowly release. One more time. Breathe in deeply and let everything go as you exhale what is. Let your body settle even more. Let your shoulders drop a little further. Let your jaw soften completely. Let your hands rest wherever they are. Let your feet be fully supported by whatever is beneath them. There is nothing you need to do right now, except be here, what is. From this quiet place, gently turn your attention inward and ask a very simple question. What is?
Just that.
What is? Don't try to answer it with your thinking mind. Simply hold the question and see what rises on its own.
What is?
What comes into your awareness right now? It might be a thought.
It might be a feeling.
It might be an image, a memory,
a question,
or a quiet knowing. It might be a sensation in your body, a tightness somewhere, or a softness.
It might be the sound of your own breath, or sounds from the room around you.
It might be nothing at all.
Just spacious silence.
Whatever it is,
notice it.
Don't push it away.
Don't try to change it.
Just watch it arrive.
What is?
Now ask yourself very gently, why did this particular thing come forward right now?
What is it trying to show me?
And then ask the deeper question.
How might this be valuable to all of us?
How might this help us understand what is actually going on in this existence we are all sharing?
What is?
There is no pressure for it to be profound.
It can be simple.
It can be strange.
It can be personal.
It can be cosmic.
It can be a question you've been carrying.
Or something you feel the collective needs to hear, whatever has arisen.
Let it be exactly what wants to be known through you in this moment.
Breathe with it.
What is?
Let yourself stay here a little longer.
Notice if anything else is moving through you now.
What else is present?
What else wants to be seen?
What is? When something clear has formed.
Or even if it is still soft and unclear.
When you feel the impulse to bring it into the circle, you are warmly invited to click the link pinned in the chat, or the link in the video description below.
Come and join us live.
Tell us what came to you when you asked what is.
And tell us why you feel it matters for you.
And for all of us, your insight,
your question,
your feeling,
your vision.
It all belongs here.
There is no wrong thing to bring.
only what is true for you in this moment. If you are too shy to come on,
Ask yourself why.
what are you afraid of?
What is holding you back?
Maybe it is holding us all back in our ability to get together.
Maybe we need to talk about it.
You can also simply type whatever you want in the live chat.
Remember,
Words matter,
they affect our thoughts
and our thoughts affect what we do.
and how we feel.
Be careful what you say.
Be careful what you type.
Your words have power here,
They help shape the space we are creating together.
so speak from this quiet place.
Or type from this quiet place.
Whatever feels true for you right now.
We are here to receive it with open hearts.
There is no judgment,
Only presence.
only listening.
Only connection.
Take one more breath. And when you are ready, open your eyes if they are closed,
Click the link.
and come share what has been brought to the fore of your awareness.
We are waiting for you.
With open arms, open minds.
And open hearts.
What is? What is ready to emerge through you right now?
What is it that wants to be known?
Not just by you, but by all of us.
What is?
Take a slow, deep breath in and let it go again. Breathe in and slowly release. One more time. Breathe in deeply and let everything go as you exhale what is. Let your body settle even more. Let your shoulders drop a little further. Let your jaw soften completely. Let your hands rest wherever they are. Let your feet be fully supported by whatever is beneath them. There is nothing you need to do right now, except be here, what is. From this quiet place, gently turn your attention inward and ask a very simple question. What is?
Just that.
What is? Don't try to answer it with your thinking mind. Simply hold the question and see what rises on its own.
What is?
What comes into your awareness right now? It might be a thought.
It might be a feeling.
It might be an image, a memory,
A question.
or a quiet knowing. It might be a sensation in your body, a tightness somewhere, or a softness.
It might be the sound of your own breath, or sounds from the room around you.
It might be nothing at all.
It might be. This is the Finding Gnosis show, guys. We are live now. It is Sunday. This is the Sunday gathering of the Finding Gnosis show here on YouTube. We are trying to find out what is going on and what we should be doing by getting together, sharing our thoughts as they occur in real time, sometimes inspired by thoughts that we hear here in the show. At other times, it may be something that we've been thinking about for some time, and for some reason or other, we feel compelled to share our thoughts with others right here, right now. And what do I mean by sharing our thoughts? Well, it could be anything from something you've read lately, something you've discovered in your studies, something you've observed, something you've experienced, something someone else has told you they have experienced. It may even be a question you have, a yearning to know something that you don't currently know, something you feel is worth pondering in our search for gnosis, in our search for meaning, purpose, and a joint positive road into the future. Guys, the link is pinned in the live chat. We do have our first visitor here on Finding Gnosis in the back. I'm going to bring him on now. It is none other than the Crazy Guru. Crazy Guru, welcome, brother. You're on the Finding Gnosis show. Good to have you here. And hello to everybody in the live chat. We have Insane Wheels. Great to see you here, brother. Great to see you here. He's got an interesting channel as well, guys. Go and check him out. It's quite a big one. That which is, what is the ontology of thoughts? Well, it's funny enough because Crazy Guru, I think, was asking that question in, am I right? Recently, Guru, you were asking that question. That is a question right up your street.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Cougar Duma says he's building a new double gate for the driveway today. He says it'll have automatic electric openers so he can tell it to open from his cell phone. This is a typical day around here. You know, he is the kind of Batman or the Iron Man of San Francisco with all his modern gizmos and gadgets that he himself has built. A remarkable brain. A remarkable brain. Mr. Cougar Duma, hopefully he will get on here at some point too. Global Solidarity says his thoughts are not real, just ideas, images, and puppies. He says a thought never spoken, never heard, traveling to source. That's rather beautiful, Global Solidarity. Thank you for that. That which is has given me 20 jewels. Thank you very much for that. That which is. I appreciate it. It will go in my back pocket. And I'm sure it will come in useful as we head towards the impending collapse of global industrial civilization, as Cougar puts it. Maybe I'll be able to panic buy some tins of beans and rice and bring them with me into the doomsday bunker that I hope to build. Okay, J.E. is here as well. We'll bring Crazy Guru into the conversation first. Crazy Guru, what did you want to say today? And by the way, do you want to talk about the ontology of thoughts?
Oh, no, I'll say that's right up my street, and I'll probably get into that a little later, but that's thick in the mist, that is of it. I wanted to start with something just a little bit more involving, so you guys maybe could get involved with it. Something I'm working on now, and it's related to it. And it's about archetypes, especially within Gnosticism. Now, I'm not claiming you guys are claiming to be Gnostics of Gnosticism, because that's not what Gnosis is. Gnosis can be separate from all that. I appreciate that. But obviously, Gnosis is a huge component, and we're within realms of understanding deity is something that the object of your worship, then of course Gnosis is that for Gnostics. So, but within Gnosticism we have these archetypes known as, and I'm just going to go into two of them at the moment, known as Sophia and Yaldabaoth. Now Yaldabaoth also has another name within Celtic terms, which is Sephian. In general, it's known as Yaldabaoth. Do you guys have ever heard of these terminologies or understand anything about them at all?
I've heard of Yaldabaoth, yeah. The demiurge.
Well, yes, the demiurge is more the internal sort of like version of it, and Christ is like the version of Sophia, and Sophia and Yaldabaoth are the external versions from how. I actually think traditional Gnosticism actually shows this, but certainly our mappings show of it. And as normal within Gnosticism, they often refer to archetypes or architecture, and there's always some sort of logos within them. Now, if I just give you an understanding, what we're trying to show people is Sophia is the archetype of, and you can also see in philosophia and things like that, and it used to mean something like that. It doesn't mean some female or something, but it's ology. Now, if you look at the understanding of ology, you know, that kind of science thing, it's attentive. It gathers all the information. It never really makes speculation. It waits until it gets the most accurate answer, so it limits harm, yeah? It limits risk of harm and suffering. So, you know, it's wise and it's caring. And it's opposite, because these are aeons, you know, principles of reality within our understanding of reality, I suppose.
Thank you, Gracie. That is your opening monologue, if you like. We will come back to it.
Well, Yaldabaoth then is just the opposite, which is ologizing.
Thank you, Daniela. I appreciate you, darling. Crazy, can we just briefly go on to JE and bring them in, and then we'll come back?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Just we want to give everybody, a chance to say hello once they enter the studio. JE, welcome, brother. You're on the Finding Gnosis show. What did you want to say today to the masses in our journey towards hopefully Gnosis? Go ahead.
Hey everyone. No, I just came on again to say that again, a different topic, but going back to what we were discussing Friday about the Clancy case is that again, if it's not just me, what other people online have said, like if we're gonna let if we're gonna let mental health be an excuse for people to just do whatever they want, well then that's going to create a slippery slope, and people can use any sort of like mental health issue or psychosis.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong.
You are entirely wrong. We're not saying you can do what you want if you're mental. We're saying if you do something because of your mental illness, you will be, and it is bad enough, you will be locked up until you are no longer a threat to others. Jay, there's a big difference between that and just letting people go free range and mad all over the place. We're saying if you're mad enough, you will be locked up for your own good and for the benefit of society. You just won't be put in a chain gang. You just won't be put in a harsh, draconian cell without any access to the exercise yard. You will be treated like somebody who has a condition, and you will be, as I said, treated. You will be rehabilitated, and until you've proven yourself, well, you will not be seeing the light of day outside on the street. You will be serving time in a mental institution, Jay, to get better.
Sorry.
And there's a big difference between that and locking someone up and throwing away the key and giving them no hope of rehabilitation, no hope of redemption, no hope of recovery, no hope of recognizing that they can live a healthy life. They can contribute to society. They had an illness, but it doesn't have to define them.
JW, can I ask Jay a question?
One second. Let Jay respond to that. Go ahead.
Okay, and yes, I agree with rehabilitating people who obviously like have those issues. What I'm saying is that I just felt like there was like a lot of people just making excuses for the lady. That if it was, let's say, a man who did it, like they wouldn't be making as much excuses.
Well, you see, you may be onto something. That's a side issue, Jay. That's another issue, in my view. And why diminish the woman in this instance, this individual, because you have a gripe in relation to how men are demonized more than women in the same circumstances. So if a man does X and a woman does X in terms of a crime or a misdeed because they've been mentally ill, you feel men get more of a harsh treatment in the public eye. That's a different matter, Jay. It's a different matter, but we can go down that road if you want. And maybe we need to grow up as a society, and maybe we need to treat people equally, under law, and that's the way we should do it. And we should take them all as individuals rather than as members of a specific gender or sexuality. We should look at them as individuals. What is going on for the person in their unique circumstances, rather than, blaming them because they're a member of a certain group of people, which they did not choose to be, by the way.
Right, and that's my whole issue, is that men wouldn't get as much sympathy or empathy if they committed the same crime that she did.
Okay, well, you are probably right, Jay. And I mean, that doesn't mean we can't stop helping people who are mentally ill, but it may be.
I'm not saying that. I agree with that. I agree. We shouldn't stop helping people regardless of their gender. But I just wish that society would stop with these ridiculous double standards.
We are talking about this lady from the TV that I've recently seen. My wife just asked me about it. Something to do with
Hold on a second. Let me just see this. Jackie says, why should they get more empathy? He's not saying they should get more empathy than women.
I think
He's saying they should get the same amount of empathy as women. Right. Is that what you're saying, Jay?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. Yeah.
She says, but women look better. But she would say that she's a lesbian. But she also is correct. She is correct. Women do generally look better than men.
JW, can you confirm we're talking about the recent thing that's happening with this lady and her children?
Yeah.
Yes, we are talking about that.
Yeah, and obviously you can understand. I'm trying to be empathic here because obviously there's a horrific thing that happened to those children, isn't there? We all talking about the same thing, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my wife asked me today about that, and I went and had a look at it, and because she says, I have a unique way of looking at things. I don't believe in good and evil, and I have a lot of sympathy for people who do suffer from mental health. Now, there's a lot of speculation. We don't understand. We're not there. But from what I saw of it, that it did show that there was evidence that this lady is saying she was having difficulties, and people should have maybe taken that a little bit more seriously, because when a mum, to me anyway, this is a bit subjective here, but to me, when a mum says those kind of things, if she did say those things to, health officials, you take that shit seriously. And I think that for whatever happens, maybe DNW is more correct if it turns out that the professionals find out that it is more to do with psychosis, and she didn't have, she had tried to reach for help and people ignored her, then maybe she should still go and have that sorted before returning to society. But then individuals that ignored that should face some sort of, I don't agree with our systems, but within our systems, some sort of penalty to show that, because people ignored it. So I can see where the outrage is, but this female that did this, there's still an investigation needs to happen. You can't just accept, oh, she's mentally ill. I mean, what does that mean? Anybody can just hide behind that. I don't want that. That's dangerous for people with mental
That's what
abilities.
I was
So
saying. Yeah.
for me,
But
it's
the
vital
strange,
that a
the
proper
strange thing, guys.
investigation is done.
The strange things, guys. The strange thing is, perhaps in maybe even all cases where people do something terrible like this, or maybe it's always a mental health problem. Maybe it's always somebody is doing something that they wouldn't do if they were in their right mind. And that is the next hurdle for humanity to try and overcome. What do we do when we
I'm on
live in
board
a
with that.
world?
Yeah.
What do we do
Amen.
when we live in a world where people's neurology drives them to do things that they wouldn't do if they were in their right mind, or they wouldn't do if they had been born with, the stereotypical mind? And that maybe is the next chapter for us. And by the way, this is something they're already considering in places like Scandinavia. They're already looking at this. They're already saying, actually, do humans really have free will? Are they really choosing to do things, or are they being driven to do it due to their neurology and
Yeah, for people at
circumstances?
home, you're not actually, because I don't think you are at all, but I know some people might think this, and I don't think you're saying it, but you're not actually suggesting people ignore, obviously,
No.
the dangers, because I know that's not what you're suggesting, but obviously the judgment and the pathologizing over it does need to be limited to what you say in some form of mental health, which I said I fully agree with you, but I don't think you're saying to ignore the dangers of.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it may be, for example, a psychopath who goes around killing people. I mean, yeah, you can say, oh, he's a big bad man, but did he choose to be such a psychopath? I mean, who in their right mind would want to fucking do that? He's clearly mentally ill. I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we should set him free for that. But it shows we need, all of this shows, guys, we need better mental health systems. We need systems that find out people are ill and help them before they do terrible things. And maybe in some cases it means more money being spent, more, I hate to use the word, but maybe more surveillance of particular individuals who are that way inclined. It's unfortunate, but it might be necessary for the greater good. And maybe if we take that all seriously, there'll be less people, less innocent victims hurt. Sorry, go ahead, Bex.
Thank you very much for having me again. I just really thought that was a really astute observation. And even though you took it down the direction of like whether the pathology existed before the behavior, and that might be needed to be treated, or whether it existed after because of the behavior, what I want to say is that maybe everybody who harms somebody to the extent that they are no longer alive is actually mentally unwell in every single situation.
Yeah,
and even if it was the moment, the moment that you flipped a switch, i.e., you're in a fight with someone, you grabbed a rock, or you brought a bat to a fight, and you didn't expect to use it to the point of someone no longer being with us, that you hit that psychotic ceiling You broke through it in order to not be able to have self-control.
Yeah, maybe there is maybe some people don't have impulse control, and maybe there is a line. If we're all adults, maybe there is a line whereby all healthy adults, and I mean who aren't weak, who aren't old and frail, who aren't young children, maybe all healthy adults who have neurology firing to the best of its ability, maybe even for them there is a point where if they're provoked enough, if something happens, they can get so enraged they will do something that might appear absolutely batshit crazy. They might grab someone, they might push someone, and sometimes, guys, this is the other side of this conversation, guys, and this may be this is a difficult part of the conversation, but there is unfortunately a situation here, guys, and that is if that is the case for all of us, we can all be provoked to, for example, push someone, do something. If we are provoked enough in a situation, and if it is like an impulse, if we just impulsively snap because of some massive amount of stress in the moment, well, it is unfortunate that a man, for example, is more physically powerful than a woman, or more physically powerful than other men. He does the same thing as everybody else, i.e. he loses control in the moment, pushes someone, but his push can do more damage than others. So he potentially is more dangerous than other people. He could cause death. He could cause injury to others with his.
And ladies, D&W meant on average, man on average, not overall.
Hold on. And this is what I'm saying, Crazy. Whereas other men or women who do the same wouldn't have that power, wouldn't have that. And yet they both did the same thing. It's just that the outcome was different for the victim. And that is also, I feel, I'm sorry, guys, I feel that is a difficult quandary for society, because the other people did exactly the same thing. It's just the only thing that saved them from going to prison or from being judged as monsters by society is that they didn't have the physical prowess to cause damage. Now, guys, that is uncomfortable. But if we're honest, there's a hell of a lot of small people out there, men and women, who have done things, who've lost their head, who've pushed someone, who've done something in the moment because they've been provoked, they've lost control.
I have no fucking idea what he's talking about, people.
And there hasn't been a disaster, nobody's been hurt. But again, if a big man did it, it's a disaster, and he will be painted as a monster for the rest of his life. Is that fair, Bex?
I mean, I think it's completely valid points. I think that, it's that sort of bam, bam, Flintstone scenario, that even a man who is in self-control and does know his force, with someone coming at him and needing to counter that even without even being provoked, needs to be, have sort of set himself to understand that he has the ability, and we're all just humans, and we all have the biology that has us capable of reacting and then thinking, so I do think it is a disadvantage in some ways. I wanted to say two more things and then I'll hop down, because I really think Gracie and I both are the kind of people that can seize the microphone. I haven't spent enough time listening to Gracie. I wanted to say that I think this is a great opportunity to talk about some of these labels and pathologies as being disorders, and how do we help each other order them. That's something that Gracie is aware of, even if his is one niche disorder, for lack of a better way of putting it, and maybe we need to start viewing each other in our behaviors as disorders instead of pathology.
Great way of putting it, to tell you the truth, babe. Well done. That was a great way of putting it.
Thank you. And then my other point was, do we hold men to a higher standard, especially since we got this, and I am going to call it a program, so please bear with me, because I do understand push comes to shove, right? You guys are the ones that will protect us. You are the ones that have been forced to go to war. However, when you're not around and you're at work, mama is mama bear and is protecting the children, and there are people with no families. So here's my point. Are we running a program that's telling ourselves that men are protectors, and ergo, when they harm people, they're being held to higher standard because their role is protection. And are they being harder on themselves when in a modern world, the actual possibility of needing to protect your woman or your family or the people you love in the capacity that you're claiming comes from the animalistic nature or ape nature, is that something that really we're over talking about, overwriting our real program about, and not approaching each other with the real compassion that we need? And on that note, I'll hop down and continue to listen from chat. Thank you so much.
Well, Bex, you don't have to hop down, but feel free to come back if you want to, or stay there.
I will. I've got to get my battery charged up, and I just know that Gracie and I are both the kind of people that can really, take the mic. And I'd like to give him the floor, or you all the floor, and I'll probably just keep talking. So I'll hop down for now and let my battery charge. Thanks so much.
Bex. Yeah. I think, look, as it stands, I think it's only unfortunately right and proper for the common good that men are treated differently to women. Bigger men seem to be treated differently to smaller men, because there isn't any other way to control people, only for them to control themselves in their private affairs, in various situations that they get involved in. It is down to all of us as individuals. And I suppose another way of looking at this is the big man has social benefits for being a big man. Apparently, the taller you are, the bigger stronger you are, it gives you an advantage in life, financially even, and socially. And I suppose it's like yin for yang. I mean, you get benefits. There's benefits to it. There's also negatives to it. So, therefore, Crazy Guru, you get what I'm saying. There's a pro and a con to everything. And go ahead.
No, I mean, I see a pro and con to everything, but I also see a middle ground where people can come and shake hands. That's why you use the word pro and con. I get that. Positive and negative. I mean, it's always that. The only thing I'm really against are the actual dualities, like good and evil, right and wrong. That thing gets me. But without sidelining, of course, pro and con, yin and yang. Of course, I see that in everything, and it has multiple layers to it as well when you really look at it.
Thank you, Jay. Anything perked your interest, or have you got anything to say at this juncture?
Yeah, I mean, I get what Bex is saying, but I still feel like it should be, men and women should be, punished and judged equally, for how their crimes are perceived by society. So I don't agree that just because we're, expected to, be the protectors and whatnot, that we automatically deserve like a harsher punishment or whatever just because of that. I still think it should be equal.
Yeah, and when you get a chance, I'd like to bring it around. I mean, I was answering your question, but I was going to bring it on to the point I was going to make, but I just want to make sure I answer you clearly. But no, I don't mind listening to JC a little bit more if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Jay, he wants to listen to you a bit more.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
More to say, brother.
No, that's all I really want to say. Yeah.
But we might go back then. I want to go back to the ontology of thoughts. Okay.
Well, okay. Yeah, I can lead to that, DW. But if I right, I promise I can lead to that. Well, is when I was listening, I would have rather have Beck stay on and listen to her. I wish I'd said that, and I actually did, but I didn't realize my mic was muted, and I may as well tell you all, for metacognitive IQ, or a twat, I wanted to say to Bex, and I did say, but I didn't realize my mic was muted. I would rather have stayed and listened to her. I think she was on a roll. I liked what she was talking about. It's nice to hear other people talk about it, even if I believe I see something more tended to it. It's nice to see other people talk about things that I'm interested in, knowing I'm not alone in this. But you guys seem to be touching on what I started with. Now, I don't mind leaving this alone for a minute, but like when I was talking about the idea of Sophia being ology, that's what you were just talking about, DW. To find an ology, like this. Let's take it within. When you talk about the demiurge, let's talk about demiurge and Christ. Then, right? If we said Christ is pathology and the demiurge is pathologizing, So when you guys talked about, pathology, finding out information, being attentive, caring, listening, finding out what was the cause and effect, what really happened, rather than people using sin, subjective internal narratives to pathologize. And I'm saying pathologizing is okay within its field of pathology because you've got to start somewhere and work with something, but you take it with a pinch of salt. You're working with something. You're trying to find something
Thank
with
you.
that.
You don't stay there. You don't stay there. You move on to some kind of healing, some kind of purpose, some kind of thing that will help the matter rather than leave someone in a state of suffering.
But what pathologizing? What does that really mean to people? I mean, maybe I should shut up and ask what do people think the word pathologizing? Now, DW, I know you've had a look at it since I've mentioned it, but and it was really awesome that you said some awesome things to us in private about it and what you think about it. But what do other people in the room, because I know there's others in you now, what do they think of the word
guys, if I may
pathologizing?
start, I'm going to just read this comment by Kuguduma. He says he's a large, powerful, and aggressive male. He's constantly aware of his capacity for harm, constantly. Kuguduma, we started out by saying that maybe that's kind of unfair on men like yourself who are more powerful than others. But I suppose the way I've kind of summed it all up and the conclusion I've reached is that it is good to be a strong, powerful man. And it just so happens that it will help you financially and socially. It will help you protect yourself and your loved ones. And there is there's a yin to yang. There is a darker side to it, and that is you may be, culpable for something that other people wouldn't have to be culpable for because your strength may hurt somebody if you lose your mind, for example, by being severely provoked, and other people wouldn't necessarily hurt anybody in such circumstances. But that's overall, it's worth having that. It's worth being strong and powerful, Cougar, and having that other possibility because overall it helps your life immensely. And
is it worth asking what you? Oh, sorry, I was going to ask what you mean by the word powerful, you guys. Only simply because
I'm talking about physical prowess.
Right.
basically.
Okay, I got you now. Sorry, brother. I was going to say I know women are powerful in many areas, but I gathered you got meant to do with strength.
There's many women that will. Let's be honest. There's many women that will bust our balls, beat the shit out of us, crazy. We know that.
Yeah, I'm with one. Yes.
Is everything okay at home, crazy? Now I want to bring in Russ. Russ, you're on the Fighting Gnosis show. Then we've got the wonderful Jack Talcott who's just joined. Russ, I don't know if you've been stimulated by anything that's been said so far, or would you like to say something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, just want to say good evening to everybody wherever you are. Yeah, I just want to say this is a fantastic topic. So shout out to whoever brought this up or thought of this. Mental health is it's a big stigma. It's a very hot topic in today's world.
Your audio is a bit
5
choppy.
minutes.
Raish, Algo.
I don't know.
Your audio is choppy,
What's that?
Russ. Your audio is very choppy.
Okay, hold on.
Can you sort that out? We'll go to Jack next, and then you can come back in after Jack. Okay, Jack, brother, you're muted. Welcome to the Fighting Gnosis show. I don't know if you were able to listen, but we've been talking about a few things. One of them is I'm going to go back to
Can you guys hear me now?
Crazy was talking about. Yeah, I can hear you, Russ. Hello, Russ.
Jack, can you put a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly?
It's not
great,
still
Russ.
choppy.
It's really terrible, Russ. It's not.
No? Okay, let me rejoin, guys. I'll join back.
Yeah, thank you. Jack, we're talking about, the fact that in this world, sometimes strong men are put in a position where if they do the same as others, and that is, for example, if they lose their mind in a moment of provocation and push someone, whether that's a man or a woman, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying sometimes they do that. And the result is the other person gets hurt. Okay. It's a terrible situation. But there are also women and smaller men who will do the same, but the other person won't get hurt. And it's not because the intention or the lack of control. No, it's not necessarily intention. I won't say that because we're talking about lack of control here. It's not because the lack of control wasn't there. What didn't happen? Sorry. It's just because that person was less physically capable. And so they both did the same thing. It just so happens that the stronger man causes the harm because they're all doing the same thing here. But it's only the stronger man who can cause the harm. So we were talking about that, Jack, and we were saying, what can we do about that? And I came to the conclusion, Jack, that, well, there's nothing really you can do, only say that the stronger man has an advantage in other areas of life, as in like socially and financially, and even being able to defend himself, etc. So this is just a kind of thing he has to accept and play with. And it's kind of like, it's just something he has to deal with because he's benefiting from being physically capable in other areas. Sorry, go ahead, Jack. We were talking about that. And we were also talking about pathologizing Crazy Guru and others and how unfair it is to talk about them as being ill-minded and not deal with what they're saying from first instance. So we have to be wary of that. And how can we be wary of that? And is there a time for us to, be ad hominem? Is there a time to attack the man and say, what are you doing, man? And this is because of this. This is because of this personality flaw. This is because of this psychological condition. Is there a time and place for that? Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, those are both important and relevant and fascinating questions. The thought that came to mind with the masculine damage is, greater power is a greater responsibility. And I've seen examples though where there's these big men that they could easily cause damage, and actually one coming to mind, he did cause damage. But his heart, he's so gentle, but the reality is, because of his size and the way that people felt around him, he actually had a lot of problems finding success, not just employment wise, but also dating too. So it's hard to say though, but if there's greater damage, there's got to be greater consequences, and greater power is a greater responsibility for sure.
Yeah, it's just something to have to deal with. We all have our foibles. We all have our fallibility. We all have things we have to deal with to carry ourselves better in life, and to stop ourselves from becoming antisocial. And this is just the big man's burden. But as I said, they have other things going for them because of their size that can help them immensely in life. Russ is back, so we'll get Russ on the mic.
Guys, mic check. Is this better? Or
Mate.
yes?
Thank God for that, Russ. Thank God for that.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say, like I said before, great topic, but onto the meat of the subject. Basically, this is a fantastic subject, yeah, because mental health is such a topic of stigma. It's such a hot topic, especially in today's current era. One thing that it brings to my mind was, I don't know if everybody on the panel is familiar with the case of Chris Benoit. He was a famous WWE wrestler. And,
Yeah.
And I feel like his case matches this panel's topic perfectly. So when it first came out that Chris Benoit basically murdered his wife and his son and then hanged himself, I just remember the time, like, everybody was like, oh, what a monster, what an evil man. Like you said, DNW, pathologizing. But the most interesting thing about this is when they did the autopsy, right, the post-mortem, when they scanned his brain, he had the fucking brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient, right? So then when I heard about that changed my whole perspective, because I realized, like, obviously being in the military as well, I've suffered CTE before, and I won't go into details, but
Thank you for your service, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man, appreciate it. But what I'm still in it as well, I'm a reservist. But what
I
people
did 8 years myself.
what people don't realize is when you have a jacked up brain, it causes you to act so crazy that even the person doesn't realize it themselves. Like you become oversensitive to that. Happened to me, right? So I became so sensitive to certain sounds. I would go from 0 to 60 into a rage. Like I could literally go into a rage,
I was
And
speculating on this earlier, Ross. Exactly this. If it may be the case that the human brain, when it's at its healthiest, is like basically that of the healthiest version of our animal nature, and that involves fight or flight, abilities, and that is this is the key to this conversation. It's very complex because not only do you have to worry about mental illness, not only do you have to worry about possible deterioration of the brain because of dementia, you have to worry about a healthy person's neurology making them more likely to do crazy shit when they are driven to because of provocation in the moment, because
Do you
that
think?
brain is rapidly firing.
Do you think words
exactly.
have something to do with it, guys? Words. Do you think words have something to do with it?
Yeah, but also physical damage to the brain. There's plenty of studies that show CTE, they call it. That's a scientific term. The shrinking of the brain. The brain cells can no longer get oxygen, so it deteriorates. So the faculties of the brain and the cognitive capability of the brain starts to deteriorate. So the person becomes very volatile and unstable. There's a great movie about it, actually, where Will Smith plays this Nigerian doctor
Oh,
who lives
sorry,
in the
Raz.
United
I
States.
didn't realize you was talking about something specific. What's the thing you're actually talking about? The specific thing? Sorry, brother.
So CTE is short. It's abbreviated because it's a really like sort of crazy scientific name, right? But what it
Yeah.
describes is multiple shocks to the brain. They can scientists and neurologists can observe
Right.
that
You
the
was just about
brain
to talk about a Will Smith movie. I think I seen now. It's Trauma or something like that. It's called,
CTE.
right?
Yeah, CTE. Yeah. So he's the one who diagnosed it because in the NFL there was a mad correlation in frequency of NFL players committing suicide in the prime of their lives. And again, it goes back to this whole topic is when your brain is jacked up, to use the American vernacular, what
Banging
people
movie,
don't
by the way.
realize is, yeah, a healthy person's brain will sort of respond to certain stimuli in the environment very sort of calmly, naturally. But when you undergo a concussion or CTE and these type of things, you don't respond normally. And the worst thing is you don't even realize that what you're doing is not normal. That's the scary part. Because it's happened to me before as well. And can I just say, if anybody's suffering with any sort of brain related injuries or CT or anything, one thing I did that really made a difference and helped me was it's called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So you go sit in a hard shell and they seal it off and they pump pure 100% oxygen. And there's actually scientific studies that show that due to the mass oxidation effect in about 60 to 90 minutes, it can actually restore damaged parts of your brain. So because of the hyperoxygenization, those cells start to they start to regenerate. So if anybody's suffering from CTE or any brain-related injuries, please seek out hyperbaric oxygen therapy. It did wonders for me. But yeah, let me pass the buck because I don't want to take up the mic.
Appreciate it, bro.
Jack is nodding his head. Anything to say, Jack?
That's fascinating. I've heard there's a lot of amazing things out there right now to help people heal. And your experience, I don't know the details, but the mind really is a fascinating, incredible piece of technology. Um,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. I've heard about that as well too. Yeah, the whole CTE debacle. Yeah, it's a very serious phenomenon. But thankfully, there's been a lot of research that people have been investing in it, and yeah, but thankfully, a lot of football players are becoming more aware of it, and there's like steps taken to, I guess, mitigate it, and also like find avenues of healing for those who suffer from it.
I'd say those who are interested as well, they should certainly watch our movie that Raz pointed to. Raz can maybe give him a link or something to it or talk about it more. But that movie was really cool, the Will Smith one. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I've heard about that movie. Yeah.
Cougar Duma says males need training to manage their aggression starting in childhood. And it is managing, not suppression. Male violence is adaptive and not itself a problem. This is true, guys. This is
Yeah.
true. It should be part of the education process for young males.
But you see,
school.
yeah, sorry, DNW. You see, on that topic exactly, that's why I think ancient cultures handled the young men of their societies much better than we do. For example, the Romans and the Spartans. Well, obviously, the Spartans took it to like some crazy extreme degree of eugenics, but the Romans would literally put you into wrestling school. I think in America, they still keep up the culture, which is good. America, Iran, Russia, they still have this sort of very primal, physical kind of competitive channel for young men to sort of go into. So rather than allowing that testosterone to channel into something negative, like forming a gang and trying to get respect and committing acts of violence and trying to sort of, like fulfill that sort of male ego that we all have, you can channel it through like martial arts where it's very controlled and it can be a vehicle to sort of greatness. You know what I mean? Like discipline, fitness. And I feel like in today's society in the West, we're too like sort of what's the word? We're too like effeminate in the sense where we have to put our young boys that are noisy in the classroom. We have to give them medication rather than, I don't know, putting them under the tutelage of a sort of man who understands them. You know what I mean? But instead, we kind of give them medication and we try to sort of we basically nerf young men in this society. And I
Yeah,
think that's not healthy as well.
am I able to add to that, DNW, if it's right with Raz? DN?
Yeah, go
Raz,
ahead, bro.
Anyway, cheers, Raz. I was going to say is I'm glad you said that because I was going to support what I said to say that I don't think it's aggression in itself that's the issue. I think it's the practice and the sort of like direction and harnessing of that aggression, because that aggression is a useful tool in many areas, and just because we've adapted a time that doesn't go with our biology, that doesn't allow it, putting it into sports and healthy practices is definitely a way to go, rather than seen as a behavioral issue. Well, the only issue is when you don't, I feel, cultivate that natural sort of hormonal. I don't like using the word aggression, but that you use the word testosterone, and that's what they're really referring to. And I think aggression is just a confused level of testosterone where it's not being healthily managed. I don't know that has anything to do with what they talk about in America. Certainly here, because I've seen it myself and grown up with it, that where you have a lack of it's not always a lack of a male in the house, always a lack of discipline in the house that can cause that. But would you say it aligns with anything like that? That aggression isn't necessarily the problem; it's the way in which it's handled and cultivated within youth.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. I agree. It's not, because aggression has its place. You know, Traditionally, men have always been the protectors in society, right? Even in medieval times, if there was sort of rival tribes trying to invade and pillage, it was obviously true. I know women can fight. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but men have traditionally fulfilled those roles, and I just feel like now, which I'm really happy about, that we kind of encourage our women to, to be confident and to go forward and to achieve their dreams. But I feel like the men are kind of pushed to the bottom of the barrel, and we're kind of seeing that with the phenomenon of like neats and hikikomoris and stuff like that, where young men are literally quitting society.
I
They're
agree.
not working. They're not working. They're not studying. They're literally staying at home. And again, if there's any of those guys listening to this, just know Raz is not throwing shade at you. I'm just identifying the issue so that we can try and solve it. So yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree with that. In fact, like again, I'm not someone who necessarily supports having kids, but if I were to, want to become a father, I wouldn't want to have a son in this sort of world. Like this is not a good world to bring a boy into, like whatsoever. Like today's world, absolutely, it sucks for men to grow up in. It really does. It's a terrible
Hold
world
on,
to be a
guys.
man in.
Guys. Mr. Hitch is here. The hello, Mr. Kenny, and your lovely lady here. How are you both doing today?
Well, very well, thank you. And we've just been watching The Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
Awesome.
And now we're going to go to sleep. And we thought we'd come on and just say to y'all, good night.
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night,
Have a
Kenny,
good night.
and Kenny's lovely lady friend there.
Good
Yeah,
night.
yeah. This is the
Sweet dreams.
happiest I've. Can I just say to your lady friend, this is the happiest I've ever seen Kenny since I've met him here. So it's amazing. It's absolutely. I didn't know that he had this level of euphoria in him. So thank you.
That's because I'm experiencing a fasting high. You know, I'm 90 hours into the 10-day water fast.
Wait a minute,
Yeah,
shut up,
like,
Kenny.
it's
You are
because your
fasting?
ball, it's because your balls have been emptied, bro. We're all happy for that.
Oh
We all
boy.
Wait,
Carry on. Enjoy
Kenny
your night.
Given is fasting. Well done, brother. I didn't know you was into that.
Yeah, I'm going for 10 days. That'll be my record. My previous record, 7 days. I'm now going for 10 days.
My record is 7 days, brother.
Oh.
I haven't gone past it. So well done.
Thank you. If you're going to go for that long, I do recommend what I'm doing is to supplement with magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Otherwise, it can damage your kidney. Well, give your kidneys a bit of pain and trouble, you know.
Some people are asking Kenny, "Are you a ventriloquist? And is that your ventriloquist dummy? Maybe you bought a sexy ventriloquist doll online. You've got your hand, maybe you've got your hand, Kenny. Maybe you've got your hand up her ass. Can you show us both your hands, please, Kenny? Okay, yeah. See, you're wrong. Can you say something, madam, just to prove you're not a ventriloquist doll?
Is it a name at all? Maybe we introduce the
Say
lovely
good night.
lady.
Good night,
no.
everyone.
Good night, darling.
Nice
Good
to meet
night.
you all.
Wow.
Good night.
There
Have
you
a good
go.
Good
night.
night, Kenny's lady friend.
Enjoy yourselves. Take care, guys. That is lovely. That is nice. You know, Mr. Kenny has found love.
You weren't far
and-
right, DNW. That is the kind of happiest I've seen him as well. Just wanted to point that out before it got forgotten.
Well, he's got some yin to his yang now, isn't it?
Yeah. It is true. The female soothes the savage beast in us.
It does. It does. I agree. I agree. Yeah.
It really does.
Well,
It really does.
it
And
depends.
whether we like it or not, and sometimes it's frustrating.
That's what I was going to say.
A good woman controls you, whether you like it or not, guys. She keeps you in a place that you are good for society. And I'm sorry, it's annoying sometimes because you want to be a naughty boy. I know.
Do you agree, Alyssa?
No, that's not always the case.
All right,
Sometimes
Alyssa agrees with DNW.
wait,
Alyssa agrees
sometimes
with me.
yes, but sometimes yes, but sometimes no. It's because sometimes women can also like piss you off and like trigger you. Like, come on, now,
I
let's be honest.
said, oh, yeah, but when it works, Jay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it works. When it works.
Okay, yeah.
When it works, Jay. Yeah. So anyway, right. Anybody else want to come on? Link is pinned in the live chat.
No, but yeah, I just wanted to finish off what I was saying, right? Which
Lee
is
Prophet
that-
says he complains about his wife, but without her, he's the worst version of himself. And there is a lot to be said for that. I think most
Can
of
I just say,
the male
sorry,
population are in that boat.
Sorry, Jay, I just want to quickly get in. Sorry, brother. Can I just say there's a great British saying, yeah? Women, you can't live with them and you can't live without them.
Yeah,
You two even wrote a song about it, didn't they? Can't live with or without you.
Yeah, that's the paradox of it, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Cougar Doom says marrying was good for him and it still is. Yeah.
This might be a British thing, not a Welsh thing, because the Welsh thing is women never try to figure them fucking out.
Oh man, are we going down the rabbit hole of that today, guys?
I think it'd be interesting, guys. We spoke about male aggression. What about female aggression? How does that show itself in society?
Passively.
Oh, boy.
Passively.
Hold on.
No, I can answer this. I'm sorry. Passively.
Wait.
That's how we express it. Passively.
yeah, wait, look at what Jackie said. Jackie said that men can be good without women. So I don't know. But
They can be, of course.
But yeah,
I'm sorry. Every real woman in this chat room knew what I said. Then passively. That was the answer. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
Well
yeah,
done.
yeah. Passive aggression. Yeah. But yeah, wait. I also wanted to go back to what we were saying about men today and young men, especially. Like, yeah, I agree that men and especially young men today, like this is probably like the worst like era to be born as a man in human history. I feel like. You know, given like how men are struggling and pushed to the the wayside of society and
Get to the
just
trenches
discarded.
of World War. Get to the trenches of World War One, you little bastard.
No, I mean, come
That's
on.
true.
Okay, well, yes, that's true. Yeah,
Run
that,
towards
look,
the
I
cannon
agree.
fire.
I
Live in a
agree. Look,
time without antibiotics.
okay,
What do you want
fine.
about
Yes,
Jay?
yes. Okay, fine. Yes, but it is still one of like the worst eras overall to be a man in human
It's the
history.
best. It's the best of the
No, it's
best,
not the
Jay.
best. No, 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 absolutely not. It's not the best. So many
You've
men today are
become weak
struggling.
because of your
No,
comfort.
no, it's not. No, 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 no. Women have actually like demonized men and thrown us to the wayside
As
and
my
just
dad said to me when I was 4 years old, get out into that garden and pick some stones.
no. But again, men are treated like subhuman citizens today in society. Let's
What are you
not
gonna
gloss over
say?
that fact.
That is a
Let
true
You know
story.
what?
That is what my dad used. That is what my dad used to give me. One of those big 10-liter paint pots. The plastic ones. And I used to have to go out and pick stones when I was naughty in the garden and fill it up.
That's good. You see,
Yeah.
your dad did the right thing.
And
I
there are photos of me as an extremely young child with a real grumpy head on me, looking
But you know
scowling at.
what?
Yeah.
To support Jay's point, yeah, because I'm halfway. I agree with D&W and Jay, yeah, but I have to lean more on Jay's side. But D&W, if a father was to do what your dad did to you today, they would accuse him of child abuse. Isn't that right, Jay?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
is what
Yeah.
because women should never be allowed to raise our men exclusively, which is what is happening, the single mother epidemic. And I'm not blaming it on women.
Russ.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm sorry to say this, but the stats say otherwise in certain situations, and that is if a couple aren't getting on very well, and they are fighting, it's better for the child to grow up in a single mother household than with parents who are fighting or
Yeah,
parents who are separated and fighting.
Yeah,
but
but
doesn't the date
it's not in comparison to men, is it? I mean, anybody can say a healthy single parent is better than a two parents fighting, but mother is like a category error there. Mother and father is always a father household, not a mother household for males, not for females.
I was going to say, D&W, doesn't the data show that actually, and again, I'm not advocating for this, but single fathers actually produce better children who have custody of the children than single mothers? Like, I think the
I don't
data is
know.
pretty,
I don't know anything about
yeah,
single fathers. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you look at the crime epidemic, and there's a correlation between single motherhood and dysfunctional, pathological, young men going around committing crimes and all types of pathologies in society. There is a correlation between single parent thing, and I do have to say there are some women. Okay, I'm not making this. I'm not making a generalization, right? But there are some women out there who do over time use the legal system to get rid of the man, to get the man out of the house, for their own selfish reason. Then they go on welfare, and what happens is this leads to the degradation of society over time. Because without a strong father figure in the home,
Unfortunately, you're right, and this is why men should probably become aware of red flags and be careful who they dip their wick in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think everyone can agree on that.
At the end of the day, you got to be very careful
Yep.
who you settle down with, who you choose to cohabit with, because if you get the wrong one,
All
it's
right,
going to
nobody.
cause you more
DNW, please
more
don't.
chaos. Go ahead,
DNW,
Grace.
don't tell Danny that I said this, right? But this is where I actually absolutely almost. I give him 99, right? This is where 99% agree with Danny. Why are people having children? And you haven't, I'm look, coming old school, I thought having a child was an expression of you and your soulmate being your partner that you're going to spend the rest of your life in with expressing that. But that doesn't really seem to be the reason. Now, I'm pulling this number out of my ass, fair play, but if people can just resonate with me, it just seems like 75% of children, I pulled it out of my ass, are just born because oops. And this is
I
where
think it's about
this is where I level with Danny. Go on.
half of them were born by accident, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's about half.
Why? Why? Right. That's my question then. Thank you. Why is that happening?
Because people are irresponsible. They just don't give a fuck.
Because people like to rub their genitals together under the moonlight, you know, in a lovely field with long grass. I mean, come on, Gracie, you know why it happens.
Not
You've not
right,
heard of
no.
the birds
Right.
and the bees.
I can level with you all, and I don't mean to be this little nagging child. I promise you, I'm genuine. But why? I'm still asking
But
for that. Why? I am agreeing with you those things, but come on, ontology. Remember, you wanted to bring it to ontology of thought. This is
Because
what is meant by it.
okay,
people are
can I?
selfish,
That's true.
according
But
to
can I
that.
get in on this one?
Hold on. I would say it's deeper than that, and this is the truth of it. It's not necessarily they're selfish. They're clueless. They wouldn't do it if they understood how serious it was. They
Oh,
would
that's
take their
interesting.
time. They would take their
Yeah,
time, and they would plan accordingly. But it's because they're clueless as to possible consequences and how those consequences are so bloody important.
yeah, Gracie. Can I just respond to what you said? Which is, I agree with you. A lot of people are unconscious. You know what I mean? Like, they're not. They're basically in a drowsy sort of state, where they're kind of in autopilot mode. So basically, the reason why, like you said, so many children are born for that reason is because of it's nature's trick to get you to reproduce, right? That's why sex is probably one of the most pleasurable things and readily available pleasurable things, because even in third world countries where people are starving to death, even in Gaza right now, without getting too political, there's men and women copulating as the bombs come through the house. You know what I mean? That's how powerful that drive is, the drive to reproduce. As Richard Dawkins called it, the selfish gene. It doesn't care. It just wants to reproduce as much as it can. It doesn't give a shit if those kids survive or not. As many copies as it can, and that is expressed subconsciously through sexual desire for both men and women.
Right. I can only say to that I know what you're talking about, and I understand what they said. I'm not in agreement with most of that stuff. I have a different sort of feeling about it, and I know you're not saying that's yours, but yeah, I am listening to you though. You know, I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, I'm saying that there's a difference between what you're referring to and what Richard Dawkins, I believe, is referring to, from my point of view, is urges, and they are real. Sexual urges and things like that, but drive for intimacy and connection is also there in human beings. And if you're a healthy human being, because we are spoken about that a lot tonight, is if a healthy human being had natural drives, those drives, they have a greater authority over the superiority of an urge. And I think those urges are more manufactured than we believe. Well, no, I think en masse believe through, I don't know, commercialism, or there's a lot of different, conspiracy theories why that's there. But I do believe it's more artificial, these urges are. And I can see it really, like, here's a little hint just to let someone else take over now, ready? My wife mentioned this to us when I suggested it, and she said, yes, I get it now. And the first thing she related to me to emphasize what I asked her was, she said, I remember one of the songs, was it that Chain Reaction? I don't know if people know the words to it. Tell us you make me tremble when your hand moves lower. All right. The words keep going like that. Yeah, honestly, if you listen to the words, and they are teenage girls singing this. Alyssa used to sing this as a teenage girl. And I was telling her, yeah, that they sexualized us as a young age. They did a lot of different things to us. And a lot of that stuff is artificial, and they're urges, and they do mask this. And that's where Richard Dawkins and that, I believe there's a lot of good reasoning behind his studies. But there's still a more natural drive that people like Danny Shine and Richard Dawkins now don't see, because they're too formalized or too gone, in my opinion. That they don't understand that intimacy and love can supersede that if you have the right balance of empathy, as well as that narcissistic trait of love for yourself as well as other.
Wow, can I just respond to one of the comments against me? I take it, first of all, you mispronounced my name, Bex. You said this raw guy, did he get lost on his way to 4chan? So what is it I said that is indicative of 4chan? Like, wow. Can we get him over to... Sorry, go ahead, brother, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
brother.
I was asking myself the same thing because I was wondering if she was referring to you. But yeah, go ahead.
See, this is the thing, yeah. Whenever us men simply talk about things in society, it's always our women. And when I say our women, I'm saying women of humanity, right? So I'm not talking about racial groups or whatever. They
Amen.
always
That
get
which
so
is
fucking
sorry.
they always get so fucking triggered. It's like fuck off, man. Like freedom of speech. If men want to talk about certain things, you have the right to be offended. But what you see, this is the thing. A lot of these women, they probably believe in this sort of censored society. Oh, why is he saying that? And oh, he should be put over there, or this should or you should get cancelled. You should lose your job. It's like no, fuck off. Freedom of speech, man. For fuck's sake.
Okay, interesting. We hopefully Bex can come on here, darling, and she's well able to talk
I
for
agree.
herself. But she can come on.
Yeah, Bex, come on here. I promise I'm not going to be hostile
She's a
to you,
nice,
but
she's a nice lady, Russ. You will
yeah.
get on with her, so she can explain what she's on.
Bex, I want you to come on and just I want you
Raz, don't
to
worry about
help
Beck.
me
She'll go tell
understand.
you to
Yeah,
go fuck yourself. Don't worry, brother. She's okay to
yeah.
come on. But
She's not the
yeah.
first. Gracie, she's not the first woman to tell me that, and she won't be the last, bro.
Oh, I really do believe you. I really do believe you, brother.
Trust me, if I got a pound for every time I was told to fuck off by a woman, I would be a millionaire. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna outdo you and say I'd be a fucking trillionaire, but I think everybody would believe that, though.
Wow,
Yeah.
is everything okay at the Gracie household, Gracie Guru?
Oh no, don't worry. I found my soulmate who can put up with me. His name's D&W, and then I also got married to Alyssa.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're going to talk about female aggression. I mean, is there any female aggression that perhaps isn't their fault but can cause problems to society? A bit like we were talking about these big guys, you know, who lose control. I suppose we could talk about PMT. You know, this whole fact that during a woman's ovulation cycle, her mood fluctuates and she can get very argumentative, very angry all of a sudden. When
Yeah.
you know she wouldn't necessarily get that angry at other times of the month. I mean, it is a thing. Some women suffer dreadfully from this, absolutely atrociously. And should we be doing more in society to cater for that? Should we have more empathy for women who lose the plot because of this hormonal fluctuation?
Loser plot, D&W. You're such a dick. I love you.
Well, no, they do. So they can. Sorry, they don't. They don't all, but some of them can do things they later regret. They do things and say things they later regret because Mother Nature has inflicted upon them this brutal cycle. So go ahead, Alyssa.
She says, Alyssa, she said, take that off. She said, I want to tell D&W. You tell him. What did you say?
Time of month, D&W.
What does that mean, D&W? I don't know. I'm
on the rag. On the rag.
All right, D&W, don't get like this. I said he sounds just like my nan. Lost the plot on the rag. That's what he said.
It's generally about a week before there is a river running red. Okay?
The painters are in.
The painters are in, D&W. Do you know what that means? The painters are in?
Yes. A week before the painters come in, you might have to tread carefully on tippy toes around the woman. Is it fair that we work in offices where such women are our managers? I mean, what can we do as a society to cater for this? Should we be doing more? Is it fair that other people have to cater for these women?
Well,
go ahead.
No,
sorry. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was say, can we just accept it and appreciate it for what it is?
No, but the thing is,
absolutely not. No, we're not going to appreciate getting yelled at and being on the receiving end of verbal abuse. No, that's not okay.
By the way, I was saying that tongue in cheek before I get accused of misogyny. It's an interesting topic, and people do complain about it. Personally, it is what it is. We have to be more understanding about everybody from all.
Yeah,
but at the same time, we need to learn to control themselves. Come on now.
Yeah,
again,
guys.
This goes back. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, I feel like right now, there's a lot in place for women, if we're honest about it, right? There's all types of these affirmative action programs, and yeah, at the end of the day, I've noticed like if you go to certain corporate environments, right? Because there was a time when I used to do a sort of very rudimentary IT-based job, and I worked in quite some prominent locations. Yeah, so big corporations, organizations. I would go to the head office, stuff like that, and I realized like a lot of the guys that like they became a minority within these office spaces, right? And they just look so henpecked. And the thing is, D&W, a lot of guys have lost their jobs over misdemeanor bullshit, you know, like making, you know, like stupid little remarks, like not racial, not sort of malicious in
Right.
nature, but, you know, just little cheeky things that guys can say, and they've actually lost their jobs because guess what? The whole of fucking HR is run by all these ultra uber feminist women that are like, oh, you know what? You can't do that here. Get
Are
out
you
of here. You
saying
know what I
that
mean?
employment law? Are you saying employment law is unfair
Ru-
now, Ross?
Russ, can I?
Are you?
Sorry, can
Yeah,
I just
crazy.
ask what you mean with the word guys? You referring to males, and because like in England, you guys, when we say guys, we mean everybody. But in England, I know you notice you guys say the word guys to mean males, don't you? That's how you use the word guys. Is that correct? I'm just a little
Yeah, yeah,
confused.
yeah. I'm
Okay, no,
using
no,
it.
I'm with you now. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Norris. Yeah, go ahead, D&W. You say something.
I mean, yeah, but I agree with you know, a lot of what Ross said, in that, you know, aren't there programs now where like, or HR, you know, like mandates where women get like PMS leave and stuff, where we get to take like a couple days off a month and stuff to, you know what I mean? So but
Fools,
our thing,
all right,
but
Jay.
our thing,
Fools and Tools says, "What right does a man have to tell a woman what to do?" Well, it works both way, Fools and Tools, and we're literally talking
Exactly.
about middle
well,
management, people who are bosses, who have literally their job is to tell people what to do. And it may be a woman telling a man what to do, or maybe a man telling a woman what to do. And should we make allowances for, you know, fluctuations in hormones causing mood disturbances, people to say things that they wouldn't normally say, behave in a certain manner? Should we have to accept that in the workplace, for example? I mean, is it okay to have a grumpy, frumpy woman breathing down your neck, shouting at you because, unfortunately, she's going through it hormonally, and she wouldn't necessarily behave like that otherwise? Should we, as men, should we, as people who don't have such hormonal fluctuations, accept that? Should we be okay with that?
no, because at the end of the day,
Why
right?
not? It's not
No,
their fault, Jay. It's
right,
not their fault.
I agree with that, but again, well, it can go the other way, right? But then in that case, women should just be accepting of men who have like whatever issue they have going on, and if they act a certain type of way, right? So you see, that's some very faulty logic to say that we should just accept whatever they're going through just because, you know, they're women. That like, no, that shouldn't be the case. At the end of the day, they should also be able to control themselves. Because, like, for example, right, I have my moments too where I get emotional, I get upset and stuff, but you don't see me acting that out towards other people. I'm able to control myself, and I realize that, like, I have to keep my emotions in check. So why can't they also do the same
Can't you
thing?
just forgive and forget, Jay, and say, there, but for the grace of God go I. Thank God I don't have to have such hormonal fluctuations. I'm going to let this one slide for the greater good.
Wait a
No, because
minute. Males
no,
have
because
hormonal fluctuations. What are you talking about, DW?
well, that's what I was saying, right? We also have our own things, our own emotional like ups and downs as well too,
Yeah, but
right?
you don't bleed for a few days a month, for crying out
Well,
loud. You don't
wait,
get
wait.
cramps. For
Yeah,
fuck's
but
sake, guys.
what happens after to a man after his 40s? His testosterone starts to dip, so he becomes symptomatic to certain mood swings, depression. He can become pre-diabetic. If you look at the symptoms of low T, it's not that far from what women go through
Hey,
on this cycle. To be honest, if you look at
Raz.
it, but yeah.
Raz, can I ask you a
Please.
question? The question I'm going to ask, Raz, is not in dismissal what you said, because I agree. If I can agree with mostly what you just said, can I tell you that that has a lot to do with the mentality of a man, and it doesn't make it what you said untrue, because that is pretty much I can agree with you. That's generality. What is with the world today? So on generality, so the rule is that, but on the exception is if you find a happiness and a purpose in your life and curiosity again, that's not necessarily true. Your testosterone keeps reducing. It's really based on your mentality and your health. But you did say later on in life, as you go on and you appreciate, that is when things deteriorate, especially mental health, if you haven't found those stabilities in life. So that's what I'm saying it's linked to. So I do agree with you, but just on that understanding that that's not completely, for people that don't lose hope. That's not true of all men. You can keep it if you find purpose and happiness in your life, but I know that's rare.
Beck says she thinks we're talking about the same thing as we were earlier on. Do we allow compensation for too much testosterone and too much estrogen? I think we need to stop acting like we're so different. Like both men and women have natural states of affair that cause problems.
Yeah, but
go ahead, Bex.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we started the stream. Some of you weren't here. I know Jay joined as we were having this conversation. We started talking about why are we harsher on men, and do large men, for instance, or is there testosteronal surges, that can overrule a situation in self-defense, in aggression, that we need to start looking at and having more compassion for, like understanding that there's a biology behind things, that some of this could be a disadvantage. And if we're going to talk about having that understanding of the male hormonal system, and understanding our need for legally and punitively, for sure, understanding that, then to also sit and talk about the women's hormonal system and how, we're very different, but we're not, the difference isn't, the likeness is that we have systems that affect how we behave. And rather talking about, I hate a PMS woman in the office, meh, 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 and act like every single woman has no self-control when she has her period or whatever. A lot of us would love to take time off. It's not just about PMS. It's about literal pain. It's about literally being doubled over in pain and taking medication in order to go to work to pay the fucking mortgage, right? So I'm not one of those women. Anyways, my point was that, we focus on all these differences and point fingers out instead of actually understand, is our system, can we look at the similarities between those things and start to understand, why have we made policies? Why are we painting the world with such broad brushes? Why are we likening all men together? And can we talk about emotional self-control and how our biology plays into that? End rant.
Bex, if I let the guys answer that, Bex, the only thing I want to add to support you is the fact that there's a child. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just want to clear the air very quickly. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry, brother. You was breaking up for me. I didn't hear you. Sorry, brother. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, Bex, I just want to ask you, since you've come on the show, thanks for coming on, but what did you, I'm not really one to call people out, but because I'm used to people throwing shade from the comments, but what did you mean that I should go to 4chan? Like, what was it I said that you think is befitting of going to 4chan?
Let me answer, because I am not typically passive aggressive, and we all have a habit of trying to entertain the chat with our digs or our sarcastic humor. Sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. I've had these conversations hundreds of times as one of the women who panels, as a strong woman with a very logical and rational mind, as an emotional person who believes that emotions and rationale go hand in hand, as I watch men lose their mind emotionally every day and call themselves logical, so I apologize for being passive aggressive and trying to entertain the audience with sarcasm as the lowest form of wit. It's not typically my nature. I'm way more likely to be aggressive. And I really didn't mean to point you out that way, Raw. I'm tired of these conversations. People think about talking about something as doing a thing. All we do every day out here is posture with, look at what I know, look at what I know. And sure, occasionally we have, a new thought or, a breakthrough, but ultimately this conversation bores the fuck out of me, and I don't yeah, I did come up to share that. I am happy to stay for a bit, but there's, it's just so much posturing and so much
Yes, I want to
regurgitating.
push back a little personally on that, occasionally part that you said. Me is all the fucking time, but the rest of these monkeys, yeah, occasionally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Bex, you don't need to apologize because if that's your truth, that's how you feel. I wasn't asking for an apology. I just wanted to know, like, why you felt like I belong in 4chan. I'm just curious. That's all.
This is radical masculine. This is the radical feminism creates a dogma where people are unteachable. Fanaticism does in general. And I think that black pill and the verging on black pill is the exact same thing. And I think it's fanatical. I think it's a bunch of regurgit purge. I think we paint the opposite sexes with a broad brush. I think that there's a lot of sterile, infertile, homosexual, and lesbian people that choose not to have children, as well as straight people that choose not to have children. We live in a world with 8 billion people on the planet, and everybody here is talking like it's like 4,000, not here, but I mean online in these platforms, talking sociologically about a problem that's solved personally simply by finding a mate.
Okay, so to put it briefly, you basically think that what I said was indicative of maybe some type of fringe, like ultra red pill type of talking point. Is that what it is? And that's why you mentioned that.
You think, and I appreciated when DNW said, or somebody said, some comments like, are children happier coming from a single person household than a household full of people warring with one another? This family unit that we replaced the entire tribe with in and around the war times, it never took, right? 2 parents, 1 child is not the norm in the world. Right? It has never been the norm in the world, and it didn't take. Yeah. That's why we have four parents for children now. That's why we have to buy a home. And I'm not saying it's
strange, which we create a strange false dichotomy where we're comparing, for example, single parents to something else that is also perhaps problematic, and that is the nuclear family. We need to reach out, extend, and connect to more people like we did in olden days. Is that what you're saying, Bex?
Yes. And we have to stop judging each other. Like it's going to work for some people, right? Because of who that single person is or who that partnership is. There are gay couples out there that raise amazing children. There are single moms and dads out there that raise amazing children. There are families that raise amazing children. And in all those scenarios, there are children raised that are fucked up too. So it's like saying, it's like me reducing any of this to, what you need to get laid. Sure, sex feels good and a healthy sex life can really keep us regulated, but it is not the solution to problems. Having a child and a mate is not the solution to all problems. It actually brings a lot of responsibility and more problems. So it's lovely to look at the world like we can, golden age think backwards or solve all the problems, with one broad brush of simplicity, which is actually quite complicated, like fix the family unit. But, I just think that it becomes talking points and everybody tends to posture, what they know about the subject. And just to finish on this, I will say, Raw, I was apologizing to you for the way I behaved out of character. You don't know me and I don't know you. Right? I wasn't apologizing because I thought you needed it. I was apologizing because typically, as much as I love to make people laugh, I've done stand-up
comedy. Go fuck himself, babe. Just tell Ra, go fuck yourself. She said what she said. Deal with it.
Thank you, Gracie. I appreciate that. But yeah, just that I could have come up and talked to you instead of, poked at you when you just represent somebody saying something.
All's well that ends well. You came on here, and what we see is it is true. Words written down can come across differently to the spoken word when we have a conversation. And that's why I do implore everybody in the live chat to click on the link and come on here.
Yeah,
because it's only by talking we get more of an understanding. We have a back and forth.
I'll give you kudos, Bex, because there's a lot of people who will do that but won't come on. But one thing I disagree with is we're just talking about certain correlations between like, for example, single motherhood and then the correlation between outcomes of the children when they grow up. Are they functional members of society or not? And just because we're raising that as men, that doesn't mean we're being misogynistic, or that doesn't mean we're posturing. See, this is the problem. Like, we need to have a platform where both genders can openly express what they feel, and we should also try to be receptive of those things as well, rather than just putting them into boxes like, oh, this guy's being posturing, or you know, this woman's being passive aggressive or whatnot. So don't you think it's more healthier for both genders, right? To have these type of open dialogues, which at times will get heated and they will be controversial, but they need to be had. That's all I'm saying as a man.
I'd agree, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm going to make myself usually say, as long as pathologizing isn't part of it. Go on, guys. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that correlation does not imply causation, first and foremost. My background, I'm not grandstanding, but I am stating that my background is a master's in applied econometrics, which is statistics, which is talking about how statistics are made. And the other thing would be that we used to be learned in reading and comprehension, right? And now we're a literate society that thinks because we're literate, we have comprehension. And so I'm not denying that correlation could be causal, okay? But you have to look at, where was this study done? What culture are we talking about? What women, what men, what children were we testing? And does it apply out to everyone? And is there an outside factor that's affecting things that actually skews the results? I'll say one more thing. You know, when we were studying this in university, one of the best examples was they found there was a very strong, almost perfect correlation between heroin addicts and churches in a city, right? And that there were more heroin addicts and more churches. And so one would say, well, the churches offer outreach to the heroin addicts. Some conspiratorial people might say the churches are doing bad things, you know. But ultimately, the correlative factor, the causal factor was population growth, right? The causal factor for both of those things growing was population growth, right? That's why we
Bex,
had
what you're
more
saying
heroin.
Bex, I'm going to say what you're saying is beautiful, and I just want to say correlation there for me. I'm not going to steal the show and say that is the most powerful word you said there. And I think if you relate it back to what you mean by correlation and what you're talking about, that's going to open up the mind of other people, because what you're saying is absolutely beautiful. I'm right on board. But that word correlation is a very powerful word, and I'm glad you brought it into play there.
Yeah, it actually was Ra that brought up correlation. And please tell me, you guys, if my mic is way louder than everyone. I have a very strong ability.
Yeah. Just want to move to something else slightly. And I remember I did a module on statistics in my degree as well. I didn't do a master's in or anything like that, but I remember studying it, and I remember the biggest problem in statistics is deciding what to put in, you know, the pools of data that we're analyzing. Bex, what did this? What did your studying of econometrics and statistics teach you in terms of
it's actually interesting
this
question
problem? Yeah, sorry. How did that help your thinking, and how might it help our thinking? Go ahead.
And to put it in slightly technical terms, and there's probably people with, you know, I'm an old lady, okay? I'm 53 years old, and I'm not that old, but I took this education a long time ago, never applied it in my work. But, you know, I'm a bit of an idiot savant, and was very much so when I was younger, when it came to math and matrix algebra, things like that, right? So there's a thing called an R-squared value when they do a statistical regression. And what that is that's saying that Y is a function of X. Right. And you have a way to manipulate these, the way to put enough X's in your Y, your equation, that actually, you know, the R-squared value says that we have enough X's in our equation to describe Y adequately, plus an error, because there'll always be an error in there, right? Human error, this correlative factor that if you put the wrong factor in, it can skew results because it is related, but it's actually one step away related. It's anyways, I'm getting a little long-winded. So what I'm saying is
X's and Y's, very interesting symbology there.
Shut your pie hole for a moment, Gracie. I'm sorry.
So the R-squared that you would expect for, say, medicine to be passed, right? Like, would be that you have a high R squared value. You're saying 98% of the variation in the Y variable, the thing we're questioning, is described by all the X's that we put in the equation. And it's a manipulation, sort of like the quadratic formula is a manipulation of the equation to solve for something, right? So R squared is something you calculate out of all of your variables. And in economics, for instance, that R squared value, it could be 5%, right? We're saying 5% of the change in GDP is described by the variables that we put into the equation that measure GDP, right? This is why there's a joke out there that says a mathematician, a statistician, and an economist go to a job interview, and the job interviewer asks them all the same question: what's 2 plus 2? The mathematician says 2 plus 2 is 4 with certainty. The statistician says, well, 2 plus 2 on average is 4, but with a standard deviation of blah, blah, blah. The economist walks in the room and says, shuts the blind, shuts the door, and says, what do you want it to be? Right? So when you look at these statistical analyses, especially in a clickbait culture, where we think research is watching more confirmation bias videos on YouTube, for instance, or finding more social media channels, understanding that robots go into dating apps and skew results and represent men and women, fucking men and women over, for instance.
That is shit.
So, again, I know there's a lot of us come from single parent households or disgruntled homes, and we want to look out and point fingers at why we are this way. And when we don't have families that we're raising ourselves and we want a family, we want to blame the world for why we don't have a family or why we don't have the things we thought we'd have. I'm a postmenopausal woman who wanted children more than anything in this world. I've been one of the most accountable women you'll ever meet. I do not blame men for the choices I made in the mates I chose to unsuccessfully procreate with, right? We all sit around here having these conversations. We look like a bunch of Karens, in my opinion, complaining and whining and not solving problems by going out in the world and making the relationships we want and owning what is upsetting us and figuring out how on an individual basis.
Right.
Actually, nobody. Wait. What are you talking about? It's like nobody's complaining about women. I don't know if you were listening to what I was saying.
No. She wasn't just saying.
Hold on, DW. Hold on. Let me land. I was actually giving solutions as well. So it's not like I was going off on some rant against like women or this and the world's like this. Like we were just talking about the issues of society. And I also gave solutions if you were to rewind this live stream. So nobody's doing what you're talking about. Yeah,
Lazarus is no solution. The League of Shadows is no solution, Rage.
You're content with your choices and you have what you want.
Hold on a second, guys. 1 second. Bex, it's so interesting how you went from describing statistics and how we get to them to basically talking about the modern world, the kind of post-truth era where we're just surrounded by bullshit. And it's becoming harder and harder to distinguish what is actually true from what is not. And the pools of data aren't helping. I'm not just talking about obvious things, Vital, before you go, oh my God. I'm talking about metrics as in who's watching what, who's saying what, all these things. Because online, as Beck said, bots are doing a lot. They're stirring up things and they're saying things, doing things, clicking on things. What is real?
And nothing is real. We're in the matrix. Nothing's real.
Bots aren't stirring up anything at your local chapel. They're not stirring up anything in the nave. There's no bots clicking in there.
But again,
that's just to muddy the conversation, though, because if we start saying that about all these studies and articles that exist, and if you start casting doubt into their authenticity due to possibly what Bex mentioned being true, then you could just that's just called muddying the conversation or the waters. So then, in theory, no study could be brought forth to argue a point because at the end of the day, there's all these bots going around doing this and that. So I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest.
Okay, guys, we have Vital here. Sorry, Bex, just one moment, darling. We got Vital here, and then we got Dirty Lowlife. Vital, go ahead. What did you want to say?
Well, I mean, we were talking about women and men and the differences and the problems that arise. And I think that, it's important to remember that women are often plagued by what I like to think of as parasitic demons that are
Oh my
put in,
god.
that are put inside of them. Hold on. That are put inside of them by their mothers who hate them and want to destroy them. Every mother wants to
Oh
destroy
shit.
their
Oh
children,
my god.
especially their daughters. And she fills them with these parasitic demons that eat away inside the woman's brain for the rest of her life, telling her, "You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're evil. You suck." And it ends up making the woman miserable, and she ends up loving her hell, and she ends up bringing everyone else into that hell
Vital,
too.
I've never
Hold
agreed
on.
and disagreed with the same time with someone. Honestly, bro, keep
Until
talking.
until she finds it in her to forgive her mother for trying to destroy her, to forgive her father for not saving her from her mother. Only then can she actually break that cycle. And that's my 2 cents, and I'll take my answer off the air.
Wow.
Andy says, surrounded by bullshit is a perfect summary of today's society. Everyone thinks they're going to become experts on complex subjects by watching 30-minute YouTube videos. Thank you for that, Andy. Dirty Lowlife, go ahead, brother. You're on the Finding Gnosis show. What would you like to say?
Evening all. A lot of the questions that have come up tonight on men and women in relationships and their behavior, and particularly the one on pregnancy, why so many people have kids. It doesn't really answer the questions, but I think it gives some reason. A lot of this realm is very, very automatic, and there's a lot of automatism in the physical body, and you can see it when you burn yourself and reflexively pull your arm away, or when somebody just steps out from a corner and surprises you, and your body flinches. And give you a few other examples. When I was a kid, I fell off a rope swing, and on a very shallow riverbed, fell flat on my back on rocks. Coming to, and I was already running to the side and grabbing hold of a tree before I knew what had happened. And it was a good example for me for how the body can be in total action without the concept of me being present at all. And another example is a bit extreme, but they've removed people who have had the majority of their brain removed. They can suspend the body over a treadmill, and the nervous system alone will articulate the legs to walk the body on the treadmill without a brain. So,
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a reminder, I suppose, that a lot of what goes on in our experience is a kind of reflexive automatism that the
I've heard
ego will
stories.
very happily sort of latch onto and then whip us for, as if we are doing.
I've heard
all
stories
of
when people are decapitated, like by guillotines, for example.
When you can sort of extrapolate it out into all sorts of that, we find relationships with people who reflect the behaviors of our parents because it's familiar to us, and we often do it totally subconsciously.
Do as I say, not as I. Was it what Dirty was is? Do as I say, not as I do, or something.
Yeah, sort of put that on the table and say a lot of what goes on in our lives isn't directly through will and intention. It's actually often through lack of will and intention and the reflexive response that comes from the body rather than the mind.
Wait,
so we must meditate. We must find a way to slow down and think about our actions. Dirty Lowlife. How should we do that? How can we?
No, but then that's also automatic, right? So then there is no free will across the board, right?
1 second. I've been told. Can I turn Dirty Lowlife up a little? I did check his microphone. Dirty Lowlife, you were talking quite loudly. Then for some reason, about halfway through, your volume turned down. I didn't touch it, so maybe you moved away from your microphone. Just letting you know.
BMW, can I just make a suggestion for whoever's just said that? It's a great question. What if it's? I agree with Dirty Lowlife. It's part of Gnostic teaching is that there's an autonomous system that we all have, but what if it's not just an autonomous system? Because I haven't suggested anything. Maybe you can talk about this in a minute. But what if there's also a syncing system? Because even in the Bible, it talks about two authorities within human nature. We are subjective. The syncing system and the autonomous system can work together, surely.
What?
Well, the autonomous system is something, right? I'll explain it briefly. Ready? The autonomous system is everything you learned that you don't want to keep continuously thinking about because it will overload, just goes into auto mode. Yeah. Like a good example is when somebody who drives a car keeps driving to work every day. Sometimes they can drive to work and not understand how they got there, because they were thinking about work and go, how the frick did I get here? Because the autonomous system, what Dirty, I think, is talking about, but he can confirm this in a minute, is that is something that's real and runs. That's why I'm really intrigued to what he's actually saying. But you also have a syncing system. What you call the subconscious, I call the autonomous conscious, and what you call the consciousness, maybe, I don't know. I call the syncing conscious is the thing that's actually thinking. So the syncing is thinking, and the auto is running on what you've already agreed works.
What?
Thank you for that, Crazy. So I want to go to Dirty Low Life though. Dirty Low Life. How do we? And then we'll go to Chickpea. Sorry, Dirty Low Life. How do we go into a more mindful lifestyle then, where we actually do as we do things with thinking, and we try to prevent doing things on autopilot.
Yeah, good question. From my studies, first of all, you can't really choose. And there has to be some external shock that shocks consciousness into its first, oh, yeah, I'm actually here witnessing the conscious witnessing itself, if you know what I mean. Once that first conscious or first couple of conscious shocks have come in from the outside, then there is something that recognizes what's going on enough that you can start implementing techniques to foster that. One I've found is that you can effectively put a pin in anything, or some people call it an alarm clock, because it's something there to jar the consciousness into remembering that that's what it is. So one for me is cigarettes, because I'm in the intention of giving up smoking. I have a very visceral mental pin in cigarettes, and when I go to roll a cigarette, suddenly something pricks my consciousness and goes, oh yeah, there's that thing again, and here's this consciousness witnessing it at the same time. So you can sort of choose something, put a pin in that thing, that whatever it may be. A good one is making a cup of tea. Anything where, like Gracie was saying about driving, anywhere there's an autonomous process, you'll generally find you pour the water in the kettle and put the kettle on the thing and press the button and get the mug out, all with the same hand motions every time you do it, because you've stopped thinking about doing it. So it is very much just about the intention to pour awareness into that.
Thank you, Dirty Low Life. Thank you very much for that.
Sorry, so rambly.
No, it's fine. Very, very worthwhile to listen to what you had to say there. Chickpea.
Hi, Grump.
Chickpea. What do you want to say? Chickpea, I'm going to the kitchen, so you've got a little time, so go ahead.
I want to talk to Vital. That phrase you came out with about 5 minutes ago. Vital, where are you? Vital, he's gone. That phrase.
The prophet.
He'll be back.
Right. Are you back? Where did you get that beautiful phrase from that you came out with?
Where did I get the what?
You about 10 minutes ago, you came out with something about children and mothers and fathers doing nothing about what the mother's doing. Where did you get that from?
You know, I will say that is almost directly taken from the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson.
No,
Amen.
Wait, stop it. No, I tell you, no, Vital, that sums up my situation totally. I've never heard it summed up so well in my whole life.
Well, no, listen, it is from kind of a whack job like internet like troll Christian pastor, but at the same time, it is so true. Like, and it's not just about women too. It is specific to women, but also like so much of our demons come from not forgiving our parents, from
Yes.
inadvertently trying to destroy us. And
Yes.
while he
Forgiveness,
phrases,
yeah, I appreciate that. I agree.
he phrases it in a very funny and acerbic kind of way that like places the sole blame almost exclusively on the mother. But it
Yeah.
is true. Like that's we our head is full of shit that our parents
Yes.
inadvertently put in it, and it tries to destroy us, and we have to
Yes.
overcome it. And part of that is forgiving them and forgiving ourselves.
Yes,
Yeah,
'cause
that's
one of
true.
the reasons. So one of the reasons I've been coming to this channel, so I can somehow pick things out that people say. But it's, you know what? I'm 72 years old, and I've only just started to recover. I'm 72.
Yeah,
It was
healing,
a
healing.
lovely. It was a lovely phrase, Vital, and I thank you for it. And it's lovely to hear.
Yeah, healing usually takes a lifetime, right? You don't
Yes.
just get over you usually don't get over a lot of your trauma, like, you know, by the time you're like 30 or 40. You know, it can sometimes take, you know, until, like, in your case, like your 70s or your 80s, or even beyond that. You know, so yeah.
Because you know, Rob,
I
I'm
sensed a little bit of naughtiness in that comment there. That was cool.
What? What are you
yeah.
talking about? No, I'm not. I'm being genuine. Healing can sometimes take a lifetime.
Jay, 'cause
Guys,
you know what,
guys,
Jay?
guys.
Okay then.
Guys, I won't say how you are affecting me tonight. What you're saying is beautiful. We do have to forgive our parents. And also, guys, whether we like it or not, our parents have to offer us as sacrifices to the world for our own personal development once we're here. We may not like it sometimes, but we do have to be pushed out of the nest, and we do have to be put in a place of discomfort for our own good. It's horrible, but once we're here, guys, there's no other way. There is literally no other way.
Because Jay, I'm trying to. I believe what the Gnostics believed. You know, you have to escape the light. So I'm working desperately and not escaping that light this time. So it really helps.
Who believes that, Chippy?
What?
Who believes that?
The Gnostics.
Which ones?
Oh,
well,
here we
the
go.
Cathars.
The Cathars. Guys. Hold on.
Sorry.
No, they do believe
Jack has
this.
dropped out. Thank you, Jack. Jack Talcott, the man, has dropped out. He says dropping down for a bit and leaving his appreciation for D&W on the panel. Thank you very much, Jack. Guys, we're going to have a little musical interlude. I can see it coming. I don't have to be a clairvoyant. Noodles has a guitar. Come on, guys. Noodles, are you going to do something for us?
Something, Noodles, please!
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, I mean...
You lying bastard. You're holding the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I would like. We had a remarkable one yesterday, guys. By the way, OTW did this kind of blues, kind of improvised like guitar solo. It was fucking amazing. And Noodles has been on here time before and played. He's a fantastic as well. We're lucky to have such wonderful musicians.
Oh my God!
around.
Shut up, D&W. We wanted to listen to Noodles play.
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm supposed to play. What did you want to do? I got an idea. I got an idea what to play.
Everybody, shut the hell up and listen to Noodles.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this at all, guys.
I know you're gonna miss me when I'm gone, but it'll be too late for you to overcome. Old time people say a stitch in time will always save 9. I said now, and when things get rough, you got to leave your trouble behind. Oh yes, whoa, what a situation down here. Whoa, what a situation. Say your attitude will get you nowhere. This is your big mistake. and it will linger on. Time will catch up on you for the wrong you've done. This is one lesson, yeah, that we all have to learn. Said now, when you play with fire, you know you're gonna get burned. Oh yes, whoa, what a situation down here. Whoa, what a situation. Say your attitude will get you nowhere. This is your big, big mistake, and it will linger on. Time will catch up on you, yeah, for the wrong you do. This is one lesson, yeah, that we all have to learn. I said now, when you play with fire, you know that you're gonna get burned. Oh yes, whoa, what a situation down here between me and you. Whoa, what a situation. Said your attitude will get you nowhere. Yeah. Whoa, what a situation down here between me and you now. Oh, what a situation. Said your attitude will get you nowhere.
Wow, guys, that was fantastic, Noodles. Thank you so much, guys.
Nice. That was
There was
brilliant.
so much support for you in the live chat there, Noodles. Everyone was saying your singing's brilliant. Big up, Noodles, says Patrick. Asher Man was saying it was fantastic. Daniela said it's fantastic. Dirty Lowlife said it's fantastic. Quantum Epic, Daniela, loads of people. Hood, everybody was cheering for you there, Noodles, and it was really good. Guys, we are privileged to have Noodles here. And guys, do check him out, by the way. He's got music up on all the major platforms like Amazon, Spotify, etc. And you can check him out. We'll put the link in the under the video today. Hopefully, Noodles, you'll comment later, and you can go and subscribe to him and check out his other music because he's very good at what he does. And you know, we all need a little bit of cheering up. We all need a little bit of musical energy in our life.
Can I ask, was that authentic Noodles there?
Sorry?
Was that authentic Noodles or was that a cover? I actually don't know. Was that your song, Noodles?
A song that I co-wrote with the Pioneers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful, brother. That was
Yeah.
really nice. I enjoyed that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but it's a lovely song.
Thank you.
Noodles, Patrick says you should put a link in the Discord. I'll send you the link to come into that because you should be in
I need the Discord link.
Deep Profits shouts noodles, 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 and he is currently dressed as a cheerleading girl with pom poms. That is literally what he's doing right now.
This band you did it with, Noodles, who are they?
The Pioneers?
Yeah, do you want to tell us about them? Because obviously that was a beautiful song. If it was you and the Pioneers, let's hear about the other side of this.
Yeah. The Pioneers are an iconic reggae vocal group. They've been around since the 60s, and they were one of the groups that maybe released the very first reggae song in 1968 called Long Shot Bust Me Bet. Then they had actual reggae hits that reached number 3 in the BBC pop charts. They had one was called Long Shot Kick the Bucket, another was called Let Your Yaz Be Yeah. Their music has been used in commercials, TV shows, movies, mostly in the UK. But yeah, so they're very, like I said, very iconic as one of the the very first reggae groups. And
That's sweet, brother. That's really sweet.
Well, I tell you what, Noodles, you got a genuine, very good, warm reception there from the live chat, Noodles. People did like that song, so congratulations for.
I wrote the melody and the music, the instrumentation for it, and George Decker from the Pioneers wrote the lyrics. So
Guys, I've been in a recording studio with Noodles. How about that? I bet you are jealous. So he is a talented man.
actually, you
Very
might have been
talented.
there. You might have been there when we recorded that rhythm. So
Yes,
no.
maybe. I remember that you were recording music without the singing. When I was there, there was a guy with a saxophone. There was yourself playing guitar, and there was a drummer as well. But yeah, was the saxophone involved that day for that rhythm?
Yeah, but not for that rhythm. That he actually ended up doing this. He did do the saxophone for that song, but later.
Ian, what was the experience like for you being there?
Can I just say to what's his name here, Patrick, aka Speckman, it actually wasn't too far from where you live. So there you go. I'm not going to say where you live live on air. It wasn't.
Yeah, Ian, what was that experience like watching, obviously, Noodles and the guys performing? Now, was that something surreal for you, or something that you?
Amazing. I felt like I was on the Jules Holland show, sitting there in this lovely sofa, chilling out, and I had these top class musicians. Noodles was one of them, and his friend was good as well.
The musicians you saw there was Mafia and Fluxy did a lot of the rhythms on a lot of those songs, but they did probably. So I have 14 songs coming out soon, and and they did.
What, like an album? You mean like an album?
They did about 10. They did rhythms for about 10 of them. So.
Yeah, it was an amazing. I'm so glad it was a great memory. As a memory I will treasure because it was so enjoyable. And I do believe Noodles is very talented. He just needs your support, guys. Not necessarily to buy the music, just to share it, listen to it, enjoy it. It's a gift to the world.
Please buy the music
as well. No, I'm saying if they can't. I'm saying yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, dude, I was looking this up. So like Spotify only gives I think it's 0.03 cents per stream. So a third of a cent per stream. And I saw for example, this reggae artist Protege, he had a song called "Who Knows," which is like a really popular reggae.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Great song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Actually, the guy who mixed that is going to be mixing some of my music.
Oh really?
Yeah, but
nice.
Noodles is on iTunes because she's asking if you're on iTunes. Daniela's asking. Noodles, please comment below the video with your channel.
Is there any chance of Noodles and DNW doing a Finding Gnosis song? Because what you played the other night was amazing.
I've talked to DNW about that several times, but I just want to finish saying what I was saying, which is Protege he did this song with Chronics. They got over 100 million streams on Spotify, and I looked it up, and that means that they only got, because I was thinking, okay, that means he at least got like $3 million, right? No, he got probably around $300,000 just for 100 million streams. That is not right. That's not okay. And what sucks is that Spotify is 75% of the business for music now, for streaming. That's where most people are going to listen to stuff, and they're just screwing people, man. I mean, they should have gotten a cent per stream. They should have made over $1 million on all those streams, but they didn't. They didn't. That sucks. And it's hard to not be somewhat conspiratorial about it and think, wow, they just really don't want people. They don't want people to be able to make it as musicians because they think, oh wow, now it's so easy to put out music and release music. If we make it that easy for someone to get rich off of a song, that means that we won't have people in the workforce. But that's just my conspiratorial way of thinking. That doesn't mean that that's actually what's going on. I think it's
I
just
don't know. I think a lot of people agree with you there, Noodles.
No, I
just
think it's just greed. I think we're just greedy.
it's just greed. It's just fucking
Yeah.
man.
Guys, I
Yeah, it's
shared
a
a link.
version of greed. I'd agree.
I shared a link to Noodles' music in the live chat there, so do click on that, and also subscribe to his channel. He's got a channel called Vegan Equilibrium. That's his YouTube channel. So have a look at that as well. But again, I would ask you again tomorrow, Noodles, or after the show's finished, just comment underneath and I'll pin it. Okay. Just
I
say
just want to say, Noodles is awesome, but Vegan Equilibrium is a dick.
Wow.
I want to say thank you to Asherman698 for becoming a member of the channel. It does help. I really appreciate it, Asherman. And make sure you contact me using the instructions to get on the Discord so you can keep in touch with us 24/7 whenever you want. There's always people around the globe here from the Finding Gnosis Society who are down for a chat and open to exploring things even deeper than we do here. Go ahead, guys. Thank you, Asherman. Yeah, so we're lucky to have Noodles, and we're lucky to have you all here. Everybody brings something different. Noodles brings his activism, his compassion.
Yeah. Now answer my question: is there future DNW and Vegan Equilibrium? Is there Noodles and DNW track coming? Because that's what we all want to know.
Well, I tried to get him to write stuff, but
it never happened in the end. I keep
wait a minute, Noodles. Are you doing the feminine role here? It's all him. I've tried to get him to do it, but he just won't fucking move.
No, he is right. He did ask me to write something, and I just never got around. And I apologize
The thing
publicly
is,
for that.
he doesn't write the music, so I'm kind of reliant on him to send whatever lyrics he wants put in place, and then no offense, DNW, but he relies on AI to do a lot of his scoring for him, and I'm as entertaining as a lot of AI stuff is, I'm starting to feel very, very unsettled and discouraged by it, and
Are you talking about the music that I made on AI?
To be more empathetic for like those people in Hollywood who at first I was like, oh, who cares if they want to use AI? Now I understand, because the thing is, it takes what has been a lot of hard work for many people and what their hopes and dreams, and it turns it into like such not like nothing. Like, we don't need you. Humans are nothing. We don't need humans for novelty or anything, and it makes it like, how can I even compete with the machine? It knows, it has an algorithm that can measure what is the most catchy turn of phrase or chord progression or whatever that will immediately.
I only use the Suno music that I make because that way I can get away with not having copyright strikes.
No, I understand, but the thing is that
Hey, Noodles, Dirty Lowlife, I'm pretty sure is fucking fully on your side here. I get what you're talking about when it talks about AI slop. I don't mind AI assist, where like people like myself can have better understanding of language, but that's not what you're talking about, I believe. And I think Dirty Lowlife would definitely support you in your claim if you want to continue.
Like, I get it for some things I can understand. I'm not gonna act like I haven't used it. I've used it to help me like figure out like good rhymes and stuff. I just don't like this notion of now that AI is writing the whole song, and people don't have to do any kind of production or work at writing anything to put something out. Like, and one hand you could say, oh, that's good, but on the other hand, it kind of makes
me feel like pointless, like useless. Like, why am I even bothering? Why do I
All
need
right,
to?
yeah.
That which says they want to replace our species with AI,
Yeah.
and RIP humanity. By the way, Noodles, I read something today. Some people bring him up as a monster of our times. That's Peter Thiel. Now you've mentioned this other character who I discovered through you, Clavicula. How do you say it? Sorry.
Clavicular.
Clavicular, yeah.
Clavicular, the guy that smashes his face in with a hammer.
I saw that same thing. Yeah.
Apparently, Peter Thiel has given him $800,000.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that online as well too today.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of money. That's a lot
Yeah.
of money, guys.
Is this the guy that smashes his face with a hammer? Now, I know I'm being
Yeah,
vague
that's
there, but
him.
I'm sure someone's going to explain it better than I can.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, like he's
No, but
into what
it
they
is
call
interesting.
looks maxing.
How do they know Peter Thiel's giving him that much money? By the way, how do we know that?
No, but they said it was leaked or something. It was a leaked
Why is he giving him the money?
because apparently they're alleging that he's apparently like using him as an influencer to influence young men away from I guess being with women and trying to turn them gay or something. That's what someone said.
They're saying he's trying to turn young men into nihilists.
Right, yeah, and that too. Yeah, he's trying to turn like the younger generation into a bunch of nihilists. Yeah.
Hey guys, I got a question for OE, if you don't mind. Sorry, no, sorry, Noodles. Fucking OE.
OE is in the live chat. Hello to OE.
Yeah, it
Hello,
wasn't with
OE.
OE. It was because I was reading his message. I got his name in my head, but the question was really Noodles before you continue it, because it was based on the last thing you've saying. And he was talking about AI. Now, sorry, Noodles. I agree with what you were saying before they move on to this lux maxing thing, and saying that this is my thing to others is when you talk about AI assist, where you can mirror yourself and use AI like a calculator and use it correctly to like act like a Jarvis for your own inner thoughts or to look at something generally. I agree with that. AI assist can be a really good tool to really reflect your inner and for those who use it as an aesthetic, like an aesthetic limb to like dyslexia or something like that, brilliant on them. I got that and I don't want to take that away, but there's so many people, which is relevant to a lot of topics that have been brought tonight, that will take that and then create what I think DLL is Dirty Low Life has explained as AI slop. In other words, that what you basically was explaining is they just take away what humanity has really put in place for their own their own skill level, and they've just bypassed that level of it and just said, I'm gonna cheat that rather than using it as an aid. Is that what you were saying before?
It's well, it's just like because the algorithm learns like generally what uptrends with the population, right? So it knows all like the good chord progressions, the good like turnarounds and changes to put in a song, and the dynamics to add to a song that make it really catchy and enjoyable, right? Now there's like a few things. Obviously, there's the human element adds, which AI doesn't completely understand yet, but for the most part, it can write like a really great progression. Like for example, all the AI stuff that DNW has produced with Sonos is fantastic. The only critique I have is that it's too long. And so like if he shortened it to 3 minutes, then you have like these awesome really awesome songs.
Yeah.
And
I think
and it makes me feel worthless because I have put so much time and money into creating this album that's coming out, and then I think about what people can produce with AI, and I'm like, what was the point of all this? And no one even cares. No one
Right.
No one goes out.
There are actually, and crazily, right? You think it's just a bit of fun online, but there are actually AI songs making shitloads of money, aren't there? That has happened, right? They've topped the chart.
And the labels, record labels,
Noodle, the only part I don't agree with you on the entire thing was I don't think that nobody cares. I think there are people that care, but I think it's a limited amount. So that's probably where you get your outcome from, as in like the rule, not the exception to it. And I appreciate that, but I do think there are people that care. I just think there's not enough people that care. So that's where
Particularly
that's
in
it.
America sucks for especially for reggae music, but any music that's not like club EDM music, you don't find many people dancing to. You don't find places full up anymore. That was a thing of the 20th century. America is weird. Everybody kind of has a pull up their ass. Everybody's kind of afraid of looking like, you know, a dork or a nerd or whatever for being, or eccentric for like letting loose and dancing and stuff. I
Not
think
me.
it basically, things like AI and things like, for example, online dating and all this stuff, it exaggerates and accentuates the most like base levels of human behavior. So it all like, you know,
No,
they
I'm going to say, right, I completely agree with you when there's not a primary, like a primary response for a biological system at home. Often, I'm not going to bring it back to the male and female, aspect of it, of mum and dad in the home, but having biological stable parents to do that for you is a one healthy aspect of it, if that's what you're referring to. But like when that isn't there, and they do get corrupted by what you're referring to when you're talking about what you're saying. I do agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just sucks because it makes me feel like I've worked so hard for nothing. That's all.
I think, though, Noodles, if it's any consolation, a lot of people are in the same boat as you. I won't say all just yet, but so many people who've devoted their life to something are finding out that AI is taking over.
Can we say it's more than just a lot, though, D&W, for Noodle's fairness? Because I can see you sympathizing. I mean, there's billions of us now. There's a fuck ton of people that are affected by this, and that's why Noodles seems so good. I'm trying to relate to him.
Look at what Monty told us the other day when he was on the stream. He said, he was playing. He had a gig every single night of the week. Back when, back then, back in I think it was the 60s through the 80s. So that whole run of mid to late 60s through to the early 80s, he made a living, a complete living on music. And who at his level, because that was a band that, I mean, they were big for their genre, for their niche market, but they weren't like superstars. Like, you don't like where if he's walking, it wasn't like the Beatles where like, people are gonna freak out if they see him. But he made a living as a musician doing that music. What what group like that nowadays could ever actually make
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy when you walk around town now and you see how little live music there is compared to back in those days.
Well, even if there is live music, it's like no one gives a shit to even put $1 in the cup. You know what I mean? Because it's like they take for granted how hard it is to learn an instrument and to write a song and to make and to be tight. Like, because I don't know, because they have too many options for music now. I don't know.
I want to add a little bit here, and just say that, I always wanted a world, I always thought that we all overworked, and as an economist, I went to study economics to understand why all the mummies and daddies got to go to work. I wanted to be able to answer the questions that I had as a child that my parents couldn't answer of me. I wanted to study my enemy, so to speak. And when lockdown occurred, it was the first time I said to myself, did I pray for this to happen, to prove to the world that we already have warehouses full of shoes and we can shut the shoe factories down for a while and rotate through and slow down our work week. So my point is that we have a definition of productivity in our world that, places value on each other based on our income and what's purchasable, like what kind of services people can purchase. And I think less often people don't put $1 in that cup because they don't have an extra $1 to spare. We're so tapped. My point to this is that we're not competing with these systems. Once we stabilize, I think we could roll the entire globe's work week back to 20 hours a week and double our wages and have people like Noodles. We know that when they're raising a building, there's a free concert going on. And I don't mean free. I'm a Canadian. So, I border on socialism, communism in a way that, a lot of Americans, would pick at. So forgive me if, again, in my economics way and in my idealism, I haven't studied some of this in ways that I articulate properly. But, we didn't create the dishwasher so all the moms had to go to work. But we don't have to abolish the dishwashers so all the moms can be at home, right? Or, we didn't do all that so that, men couldn't be at home with their children. All I'm trying to say is there's an opportunity for us to create a world where we value Noodles and what he has to offer, and we don't compete with these systems. They complement us. I've written some great AI songs through prompting Gemini with my, quirky ideas and having AI, one part of AI help write the lyrics, and I edit them, but, and then go into Suno and learn how to code the Suno in ways that I'm not paying for it, right? We've always undervalued artists. We've always undervalued, and I think part of it is because somewhere in society, we expect productivity to be something that we can take home, which is why we'll buy a CD. But those CDs need to be pushed by companies who have reach. So Spotify has reach where they're taking too much of the pie, but would the pie be that big if Spotify wasn't there? So, kudos to the people making $300,000 on a song, and fuck Spotify for taking so much, but they might have only made 3,000 had Spotify not existed, right?
Yeah, and it's an interesting perspective, Bex, on why we have devalued or undervalued artists, and I think some of it as well, Bex, is I think there's a certain sizable segment of the population who resents artists.
They would have made more. They would have made more because when you don't have a thing like Spotify, it creates this are you in the know kind of vibe. So everybody because then everything is physical. You have to buy the record. You only get to everybody wants. It creates a FOMO thing. This is like what Monty was saying on the stream the other day. They didn't have the internet back in 1969 when Skinhead Moonstomp came out, and they went to these very podunk areas in England where you'd never expect anyone to have heard of you, and people are lined up with the record waiting to buy. How did that happen? It's because everybody there it's because it wasn't so accessible, so people wanted to reach for it. But when it's right in front, when you have all the options, everything you want right in front of you, you don't care,
Not only that too, but Spotify is also pretty exploitative in that how they divide up the profits is that the bigger artists they get a bigger share of a profit because they're the ones who most people on Spotify listen to. So it's proportional to how much
uptrends. It's about can you bring more people to the platform?
Right. So because the bigger artists are already so big, they obviously get most of the streams and thus most of a profit. So it's really unfair.
Well said.
Yeah.
My neighbor about 20 years ago, her name was Dixie Lee Stone, and she was the lead singer of a band called The Original Cast. and they'd put out a song called One Tin Soldier. It might have actually been a remake of an earlier song. I can't remember if they were the original or if they were the cover, but it went platinum. And I used to dust her house for her as a side job. And, you know, she made no money off that platinum record, like no money. She had no royalties coming in because of this platinum song. It was a one-hit wonder song, but it should have made her money for life, and she made none. So even before Spotify, there were models of recording whatever they're called, recording companies or production companies that were doing the same kind of model as Spotify.
Hey guys, sorry, can we just say good night to everybody? I don't mind making it quick if you want to. Thanks for having on, guys. We gotta go past and get him to bed now. He's falling asleep out in the garden, bless him. And thanks for all, guys. Appreciate you, Bex. Appreciate everybody.
Good night.
Then Debbie, thanks for always, and carry on, guys. We'll listen in the background for a little bit
Good
before
night
we
to
hit
you
that.
both. Good night to you both.
Good
And by the
night.
way, your
Night,
garden
guys.
looks nice.
Continue. It's really interesting, and we appreciate you all. Bye.
Take care, Gracie.
Right.
Good night.
Yep. So yeah, the music industry is really it's really exploitative. Yeah.
Asherman says, hit the like, folks, unless you haven't already. Yes, please do that for the algorithm, guys. If you would be so inclined to do it, please do it.
And this is why AI music. I agree with Noodles. AI music is not a good thing because it takes away from people who actually are creative.
Good night, Alyssa. It was lovely to have you in the background and joining in with the conversation sometimes. Good night to you and your husband. Okay, OTW, good to see you again, brother. OTW did a fine job yesterday with his musical demonstration. Amazing. All this talent.
Yeah, maybe we should create a band. But yeah, anyways.
Oh, by the way, guys, we should bring in Johnny. Sorry, Johnny, you've been waiting for some time. I forgot to introduce you. I do apologize. Johnny, feel free to contribute how you so desire.
I mean, there was websites before Spotify, Napster back in 1999. I noticed after 1999, Napster, I call a lot of record companies. I shouldn't say the KILL word, but sorry. Just in my opinion, that's when it first started. So AI is just a advanced version of what Napster is basically. So yeah, I guess I can't live pre 1999. That's my cutoff point right there. Y2K, everything turned digital instead of CDs.
Yeah, them people tend to say that like humanity peaked in 1999, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, Y2K was a different time. The world was supposed to end, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Just odd time.
Yeah, that the events of 5 years ago changed the nature of pub live music.
6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, 6 now. Time flies.
Yeah, man. There was there's a pub here in the Boston area called the Plow and Stars, and I remember like 15 years ago, I think, that spot, any Friday or Saturday night you'd go in there, the place there was always a live band, and it was always packed to the brim, people dancing, really fun, awesome time in that spot, right? And they still have music every Friday and Saturday, except the place is not packed anymore. You do get a lot of people coming in there sitting down for drinks, but it's just not the same kind of enthusiasm from the crowd. And I've found that in most places. It's really odd. It's a very odd, strange thing, and it's unsettling, and it's unhappy for me.
Well, there is dance clubs, like Euro dance clubs in Brazil, Bulgaria, certain areas.
Brazil and Bulgaria. U.S. is different, man. U.S. sucks. People are scared to dance here for some reason, unless with this is the only exception. Like EDM festivals or like club or EDM club kind of things. That's like the only place you see it now. It's I don't know why those are I don't know why those are the places you'll see people not afraid to move, but if it's not that music or it's not some hippie festival, like yeah, people aren't dancing as much.
No, it's because apparently people aren't dancing as much at clubs. It's because they're afraid of being recorded and
Right.
plastered all over social media.
I
Yeah.
saw a clip of that guy saying that, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's all about how, because of how everything goes viral. So many instances of people being recorded goes viral nowadays. No one wants to be embarrassed like that. So they're not going to be as willing to express themselves and just
Well,
dance.
why is it America? Why isn't it like that in the UK or in South America or Europe?
Good night, Daniela.
People have no issue there.
I don't know. Or maybe they do, but they just don't report it as much.
I've been to I went to a reggae dance hall in the UK and everybody, dude, the dance floor was packed, man. I watched videos of shows from Brazil, from Europe. The place is packed, people dancing. It's an American thing, dude.
Well, you got to be specific on Europe, because France is kind of like America now. They don't go out to the dance clubs as much. Certain parts of Spain is kind of like America now. They don't go to the dance clubs as much. Portugal is still pretty cool because it's got the Brazil scene. Brazil is basically the big brother of Portugal because they speak Portuguese. I'm Portuguese, so I know how to speak it. So I got dual citizenship, so I can go there. But yeah, no, it's different. It depends on where you're going at in Europe, because there's parts of Europe, Switzerland, they don't go to dance clubs as much. It just depends where you're at in Europe. Italy too, they don't go to dance clubs that much. Croatia does. Bulgaria does. Just depends now.
Well, I just don't think it. I don't know. I think it's an American issue for the most part.
I guess so, maybe.
I mean, Australia still goes to dance clubs too, but they're slowly declining too.
Yeah, I bet Australia has a pull up their ass too, honestly.
It's just the way it is. I mean, people just aren't going out as much and socializing as much, So you're going to see a lot of these clubs and bars and stuff are going to start closing down, right? Because I've also seen statistics that shows that Gen Z they don't drink as much alcohol as previous generations. So that's also, I think, going to lead to a lot of bars closing down as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are blaming immigration for problems that are associated with technology. Like, I wonder how many people are saying it's all these immigrants in our neighborhood that are why nobody's going to the bar, when it's actually the idea of, being filmed and stuff, right? And then the other thing I was thinking was that maybe we as YouTubers who've been hazed like crazy need to head out into the real world once in a while and show people to what it's like to dance like no one's watching. What it's like to be like, fuck you, haze me all you want, put me on the internet. What can you do to me now that hasn't been done already? I'm being kind of facetious with that, but seriously, like, I think of the videos in the 80s and 90s where people just happen to have a video camera at our dances or whatever, and now you see that footage of those dances, and everybody's so cash, nobody has a phone in their hand. Everybody now would be looking at them like golden age thinking, look at all those people and how much they're connected, when all the insecurities and miscommunications and all the things that divide us or unite us, they existed with or without these phones. They might not have been exploited the same way by robot trolls or, you know, this alleged divisive program that people think is running, which could be, but I mean, I've seen humans be divisive just for, you know, entertainment gain. So why would the ruling class be immune to that, you know? So yeah, I just think it's interesting that we look at these trends, we live in this changing world, and we want to explain it. And again, we're back to like, what's the real explanation? I really appreciate Noodles, your insight and your knowledge, and the rest of you for how, you know, how much you understand in how these things affect you. You know, I'm not a musician. I'm not, it's fascinating. So thank you for that public shaming part. I didn't realize how much that could deter people.
Oh yeah.
I'm a bit of a spurg. I'm a spurg in real life too.
I mean, I don't know how true that actually is, that that's the reason people won't.
I think there's a significant portion of youngsters who are very anxious about going out because of it, but I think older people maybe not so much.
I went to a show in California recently that I was expecting to see a lot of people dancing, and as soon as the main band came on, the Pioneers came on, the room was packed full of people, but I was expecting the place to like explode with dance, and as soon as they started, everybody was still just standing there, kind of just bobbing their head or whatever, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? This is so
What
weird.
part of California, Noodles? Because I'm in Sacramento.
It was SoCal. It was in Santa Ana, and you would say, okay, that's where, you know, you'd expect people to like be really into the music, but really to get a crowd full of a big crowd of people dancing, you'd have to go down to Mexico City. You know, it's otherwise, I don't know, dude. America is so fucked, man. I don't know what's going on here. Actually, what ended up happening was there was so much tension in that room. A fight ended up breaking out during the set, and then after that happened, the guy got dragged out. After that happened, more people were dancing, but still, I was just like, man, this should have been it should have been way more upbeat than that in there. I don't know what's going on. Why people are scared to move. Like, help. We need help. We need help.
It could also be a low. It could also be a low serotonin level, like me, dude. Back in the day, I was too happy, way too happy, is because my serotonin level was too low. So I wasn't really as happy as I looked because my serotonin levels were too low. So when you see people really happy in dance clubs, it could also be just a like a low serotonin level too, to where they're
You're saying
imbalanced
they
chemically. You know.
So hold on a second. You're saying when they have low serotonin, they act extremely happy. Is that what you're saying? Like manic depression
That
kind of
was
thing, is it?
that was me, not depression, dude. Low serotonin will make you It's a reverse effect. It'll make you really happy when you're not as happy as you say. Yes, you could be clear-minded, no
Oh,
worries,
I see.
but your happiness of laughing at stuff that is not funny, it makes you look like you're crazy. You know, that's the problem. You know, with
So that's
low
like
serotonin.
that is a kind of symbolic of kind of this manic depression when people seem full of life and happy, the life and soul of the party, but they're actually really depressed.
No, they're not depressed, man. It's just you're
Well,
with
they
low
can.
serotonin. You could have a fast pulse rate. Like with me, I was sitting down in blood pressure too. I was sitting down at like 143, just sitting down, not doing nothing, pretty much on my pulse rate, and then my blood pressure was 182 on the SYS, the systolic, and my diastolic was 111. So I mean, it's pretty high, but I've seen people higher, but it came down with buspirone and hydroxyzine. I used to not do
I'm
that,
glad.
but it came down. And then also, I took too much herbs back in the day too. Way too much.
I'm
Just
glad you've
herbs that were
managed
not tested.
to manage it, brother.
Can I say
Yeah.
something, Grumps?
Go ahead.
Right, I'm an expert in this little subject 'cause I've been on serotonin tablets for over 30 years now. Don't you mean the opposite, John? It's low serotonin that causes misery. High serotonin causes mania. Surely it's that way around.
Now with me, it's reversed. I was low serotonin and high
Yeah.
dopamine.
Oh, I've
Okay,
got
so
no
it's the
dopamine.
high dopamine then.
It's the
Maybe that was doing
dopamine.
me.
Because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dopamine. Because I've got very low levels of dopamine. So I mean, I'm a highly functioning depressive. I've been in psychiatric units, everything. So whenever I hear anyone talk about this, I have to jump in and listen and say things. Because I take SSRIs, I also take St. John's wort, and I also take a load of vitamin D every day for my depression. Yeah, and it's all to raise my serotonin levels.
Well,
They
and
do say be
SSRIs
careful
are
taking. Sorry, they do say be careful taking St. John's wort with
Yes,
other
I know.
with medication.
Yeah, I know. Grumps, at the moment, I've got it so bad. Because I don't go outside, so I'm not getting any sunlight because of this heat. So yeah, I know what you're saying. I do know. I'm very aware of the fact it's terrifying because I'm doing something I know I shouldn't be doing. I do know. And
Sorry,
I'll tell you something, John, I'll tell you something else weird. I've got autoimmune diseases, and scientists have actually proved that autoimmune disease stems from low serotonin levels. It's really weird.
interesting.
And also too
It's good
from
to know. Thank
emotional.
you.
What?
Yeah, it also stems from emotional dysregulation, right? Because I've heard that
Yes.
a lot of people who are emotionally dysregulated or unregulated, as in like they don't properly like process their emotions, right? What usually ends up happening is that they end up getting sick through autoimmune disorders.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I didn't know. See, because that's why I come here, folks. Because every now and again I hear somebody say something, and all of a sudden I find out more. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Wow.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of research on it,
Well,
actually.
Wow.
and I
Because
know.
I'm an emotional fuck up. I'm so screwed up it doesn't bear thinking about. I mean, I'm not violent or anything, but I'm very unhappy and depressed, as everyone knows.
Yeah. But yeah, that could be something to look into, Chickpea. Like maybe that's why you have those autoimmune disorders. It could be
Yeah.
because you never like you always growing up you never like properly processed your emotions and never like properly let them out and
Wow.
express yourself.
Yes, exactly. I'll tell you something else, Jay. Yep, I've never mind. I won't tell you a boring story, but yes, you're right. You are right. See, doctors
Yeah.
don't tell us any of this. You have to find out all for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. SSRIs keep me employable. Thank you for telling me because it
Yeah,
helps me.
I appreciate this conversation. I have an appointment with a doctor tomorrow. My body's been responding so well to some of the biological medications I'm on, for blood sugar and high blood pressure, et cetera, that actually problems I probably have had for many, many years. But I've been so responsive to that. I've been contemplating, should I be looking into psychopharmaceuticals? And unfortunately, I have other health things that keep delaying that conversation with the doctor. But it's important to note that some medications that affect some people one way affect other people the other way, like ADHD medication puts people on stimulants so they can catch up with their own brain, whereas a lot of those medications would make people seem like they were high on street stimulants, right? But so when it comes to this SSRI stuff, how it was explained to me when I was a young woman was there a serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And what they do is they actually block your receptors so that they fill some of your receptors so that your serotonin the amount of serotonin you produce can be received by the receptors. You have too many receptors for your I always forget the word for senders. For that which is sending. So yeah, and then to liken it to this to these other autoimmune diseases or what have you is fascinating to me as someone who has has had psoriasis on my hands and feet my whole life, and it is a hyperimmune response, and does it does come out when I'm stressed, right? Like, which has been most of my life. So it's very valuable. I appreciate the honesty with people, because it would really suck to find out that, my family was right. And, I would have been better on Prozac my whole life, because I really did resist medicine. And 2020 only reinforced that for me. But I was in a life and death situation last year that my life was saved in a surgery that had me just approach medicine differently. And with really, really low doses, I thought it was my lifestyle that had beget these illnesses, when these illnesses begat my lifestyle, right? So, yeah. And luckily I've been able to take very low doses. I actually had the doctor spread them out instead of, sometimes, people are lazy with medications, and so they'll give you a higher dose to last the day, but it doesn't extend the half-life of the medication anymore. So, they're kind of like banking on the fact that a higher dose will make you feel better, when in fact titration, if you took your pills 3 or 4 times a day in a really low dose, you need a lot less medication. Conveniently for me, I'd been on antibiotics for quite some time before my life-threatening situation last year. And because of that, I'm very good at taking medication, right? Like 2, 3, 4 times a day is no big deal. So yeah, anyways, it's fascinating to have people divulge that publicly on the internet. I've got haters out there that'll be like, I told you, like, that she's like this or whatever. But yeah, I really appreciate the earnesty in the conversation.
It really helps me, Bex. I tell you, Bex, I'm 72 years old, and quite frankly, I've had it. And coming on here, I actually learned stuff, and you can spit stuff out, and it helps. Like group therapy helps, and it does. Because the world doesn't talk about it. I agree. It doesn't talk about these things. Yeah, but how much SSRI are you on?
I'm not on any, actually. I've been contemplating it because of my other pills working so well. I thought, well, would a little bit, this is a biological thing. Like, that's what these SSRIs do, right? It is a biological medication as much as it's psychopharmaceuticals, and it does help your psychology. It's still biology behind it all.
Oh, I'm on 60 milligrams of Seroxat every day, which is the highest allowable dose. I'm completely Seroxated up to the brim. And you know what? It doesn't make me happy clappy, but at least I don't act on it all. It's there. I don't act. Yeah.
Well, when you tie it back to this emotional dysregulation, maybe that's what the internet has helped. Because as much as I've been, as they say, a spurg out here, and I'm a very passionate person, so I can get as offended for somebody else as I do for myself. And I have learned through these panels more emotional regulation than ever. And I know some people could be like, but what about the other day, right? They could be like, what about that comment you responded to? I choose to respond now. I choose to engage. Yeah. As opposed to 3 years ago, when I would have just been able I wouldn't have been able to choose. I would have been responding to everything. So look at the 99 comments I don't respond to. Look at the 99 times I don't hawk up, to the one time I choose to go up and continue to grow in my emotional regulation with a bunch of strangers online. I'm very grateful.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not just about that one time you failed, Bex, in your interactions. Mm-hmm. It's the realization that that's one time, but in the past there were many times. So it is still positive.
Exactly. And I like being a passionate person. Like, I'll say, I'm not of the cult of YouTube that's like, get out of your fifis and men are rational and women aren't. I'm just not. Like, those two systems are humane. They are part of us. And I've been, as a woman on panels, I've been told by some of the people who like to sort of poke and prod at me in the most friendly fashion to have some of these conversations, they enjoy the fact that as I get angry or emboldened with passion, my rationale system becomes more focused, and I'm way more likely to land my plane and to put out points that are relative. And that's why I was saying earlier, DNW, when you started saying, oh, it's interesting how she went from A to B, I thought you were going to turn to me and say, tell us how you got there. And then you were the one who actually explained how it happened. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had someone track me on YouTube as well as you have. Because even I can get so impassioned with my emotions that I didn't pay attention to what I was rationalizing. And yet it can be, I've been told by people, very powerful, so not always. But
No,
that those two systems we should be looking at being hand in hand. Yeah. So thank you.
Guys, I want to invite people listening to come on. There's a few in the live chat. Do come on. The link's in the live chat. Also, there's someone called Aeon who's been on here once before, I believe. They're an interesting person. They're heavily into, I believe, am I right, Gnosticism or something? I think they're into Gnosticism, and they might be interesting to come on and talk to Chickpea, because I know Chickpea kind of goes along with that kind of worldview. So, Aeon, if you can, do come on.
I tell you, Bex, that's why I'm here. You know what, Bex? I have this weird, I believe the Cathars believe, and I believe that when we die, we go to a checkpoint, and then they're waiting for us, and then they, try and get us to reincarnate for another 70 years of wash, rinse, repeat. And I don't want another. That's why I come here, Bex.
Wait.
To get to sort
Thank you,
it all
Chickpea.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking about that, I actually had like a really interesting. I guess I can't really call it a supernatural experience, but I don't really know what else to call it. But it was a bit of like a semi-lucid dream yesterday.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, where like, I was in a dream, and I guess more towards the end of a dream or so, like I randomly just started asking myself like if what I'm experiencing was real or not. And then as soon as I realized it, like everyone else who was in the dream, they sort of like almost like kind of clapped or celebrated for me realizing that it was a lucid dream. And then when I woke up from it, I felt this heavy presence on me, like almost like if it was, sleep paralysis. Like some sort of sleep paralysis, like entity that is holding me down or whatever. And it took me a while. It took me a couple, I guess, minutes to like get up from it. But it was just a really, really interesting experience. Again, it makes you question if like real life itself is also just a dream, and we just have to wake up from it. You know what I mean?
Nibbles has said here,
Yeah.
Chickpea, it might be blah, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Nibbles, that's how I'm living at the moment. I find it hard to get out of my bed. I get up, I feed my cats, I water my plants, and I go back to bed again because my depression with this weather.
If you can't get out of bed, don't go to bed.
Oh, grumpy guts, my bed's my favourite place.
Sorry, I'm only joking. I didn't mean that seriously. Sorry.
But Grumps, I tell you, this weather, I'm sleeping all day long and just doing everything at night because I tend to be more cheerful at night. But you think to yourself, I'd hate to meet you during the day.
We don't have to worry about that because you're in bed.
Yeah, I am actually. I'm in bed with my cats. We're all together.
Yeah, Aeon, do come on. Aeon says they have a lot of interesting things to say. Do come on. Aeon says they're charging. Hopefully, you'll be on very, very soon.
But yeah, DNW, have you also like related to that, like having like semi-lucid dreams and stuff?
Dreams that seem so real. Yeah, I've had I don't know about. I wasn't in control of my dreams. People when they talk about lucid dreams, they have a tendency to say that they felt like they were in control. They were consciously aware they were in a dream and they were in control of what was going on. I've never had that, but I have had dreams that were very, let's just say, profound. I've had dreams that I would say traumatized me to the point when I woke up, I literally had trauma from them because they were so strange. And,
me too.
See, that's weird, you guys.
Yeah,
I
they were so strange. I spoke about one I had. I'll just relay it again quickly. I think I was about 21, and I was in bed with my girlfriend. I was asleep, and I had this strange dream that I was in some kind of old country manor house. You know those big old houses in the country, in the British countryside. And I was in a study room in one of those houses, and there was a massive long bookcase with several shelves right up to the ceiling, and it was just full of old, those old leather-bound books, like loads and loads of them. And basically, there was a ladder on a little stairs ladder on a rail that you could push along. It was on those metal runners, so you could push it along the bookcase, and then you could stop it wherever you wanted to get a book. Anyway, I was near the entrance to the room, the door. I was near the entrance to the room, and I was standing on that ladder, and I was reaching up to the top shelf to get a book. Now, the book was a massive leather-bound book, and it was really heavy. And I put my hand up, and I brought it down slowly to my chest. It was really heavy, and I had it on my chest. Then I came down the steps of the ladder, and my ex-girlfriend at the time was standing with me in the dream. She was behind me in the dream. And then as I got to the bottom of the ladder, I heard this noise, and I looked, and there was an old Chesterfield leather armchair, and the back of the armchair was to me, and it was about 10 feet away from me, yeah. And there was, all I could see was the top of a man's head over the back of the chair that was facing away from me. And it was a bald man. Suddenly, the chair just spun around, and this man was sitting in the chair. His hands were gripping the ends of the arms on the chair, and he looked straight at me. It was this bald, slim white man wearing a sharp suit, and he looked at me, and then he just screamed. He went ah like that, and he jumped like Superman through the air whilst he was screaming, and he flew into my sternum, but flew into my chest basically. And I felt like this like entity had entered me, and I just woke up. I woke up from my dream screaming. I literally woke, because it felt like he had, like it literally felt like a spirit had flown into me, and I woke up screaming, go ah like that. And because I was screaming, my girlfriend at the time, she woke up and she started screaming because I was screaming. And then because she was screaming, I screamed again. And it went on a bit like that for a while. But it was one of those dreams. It was a very intense, scary motherfucking dream. I've had a few of those. I haven't had any dreams like that that was probably one of the scariest dreams I've ever had. But yeah, that was a pretty scary one. I've had a few weird dreams in my life. I haven't had that many, but I've had a few.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah.
I'll tell you something.
Oh, by the way, yeah. So I got that book, and I came down the ladder, and then I was standing there, and then he turned around. Some people have said it was like the Akashic records, or so. I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't think it was anything too deep. I just think it was a dream. But yeah, it was a very strange dream. I suppose you could analyze it. What was the book for? Why the country manor house? Why the armchair? Why the bald man in the suit? What was going on? You could probably analyze that dream.
Do you feel like he was pissed off at you because you got the book down, or did that not enter into the dream?
I don't know, but that's a good point. That at the time I couldn't make head nor tail of it, but afterwards, I suppose with hindsight, you could say, why was he so angry? Was it because I had the book, or what? I don't know. Obviously, I disturbed this entity, but the fact that it flew into me was the crazy bit, Like it literally flew into my heart. Basically, it became part of me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But Jay, I'll tell you something weird. I've never had a bad dream in my life. I have lovely dreams, and when I wake up, I burst into tears because I'm awake again. Yeah, that's what happens to me. I've had that all my life. I've never had one bad dream. It's weird. Being awake is my nightmare.
Patrick says that just goes to prove you are searching for deeper meaning. I mean, I suppose you could analyze that, guys. That was to me. About the dream. I suppose you could analyze it this way, guys, that at the time my life wasn't so bad. I was happy enough. And yeah, I suppose there was something in me looking for meaning. What the hell is going on? I suppose even then. And maybe the dream was symbolic of the fact that journey is terrifying. That journey will scare you. That journey is actually dangerous and full of it will unsettle you. It's not an easy journey. Not an easy journey at all to kind of question what is going on. Not at all. Not an easy journey.
How do you think I feel then? Now you know I'm so depressed.
Have you tried passion flower and melatonin? It might slow your heart rate down too much. I did that. I took too much of it.
You talk to me.
Yeah, chickpea. Sorry.
Yeah, I take geranium oil. Geranium oil is my the one that I use for that. Yeah. But what did you say I should take?
It's passion flower. They're passion
Passion
flower
flower.
and melatonin. If you put them together, they'll give you great dreams. But the problem is
Oh, I
your
can't
pulse rate
take
goes.
I
Good.
get great dreams anyway. Melatonin, I haven't. There's something about melatonin that I can't. Yeah, passion flower. I'll give that a try. It's bound to be on Amazon. But melatonin, I've tried, but for some reason I had to stop it. I tried it years and years ago, about 30 years ago, maybe. Yeah. But I'm all right. I've got my cats. They keep me going.
You can see when I used to take it, still take this is all I take now.
Oh my goodness, you've got more than me. I thought I had a load
no.
of stuff.
I used
Wow.
to take 90. I used to take 92 of them. They're like in there.
Oh, you're as mad as me.
But it killed my liver and kidneys. Was urinating traces of blood. Yeah, no, I was a happy man. My dopamine was so high, but my serotonin was so low. So I wasn't when I was happy. I wasn't really happy. So it's just you got to balance it out, man. Can't take too much of anything.
Wow. But, that's my. I thought I had a load of bottles of stuff. Passion flower. Oh, good. I'll get some of that because that will make me sleep. As if I need help sleeping. You know what, Jay? Once I actually slept for 24 whole hours.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
24
interesting.
whole hours. And actually, it was 24 hours. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And even now, sometimes I'll sleep for 15, 16 hours. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. How I felt. I woke up, started getting ready for work, and it was already the next morning because I used to work in a bar, and I'd slept right through. I'd slept through everything. 24
Wow.
hours. I know. Lovely,
The
isn't
only
it?
time I've ever slept almost that long until I came to YouTube and streamed and stayed up. I won't even say for how long. Well, I will. I stayed up for almost 110 hours public out here, not by streaming on my own
Wow.
channel,
Wow.
but hopping
Wait,
around.
How
And
the
people
hell
knew
did
it.
how
I was
how did you
bragging about a sleep fast. I was joking that in case we needed protection, I just did. I slept for about 2 hours on the second or third day. I had a nap, and on like the fourth day, someone came into one of my live streams because, like I said, I was going from panel to panel, but I was also streaming on my own channel, and I could stream for hours. So I don't know how, I really suffered from that, but I did. I stayed up for, I'm calculated almost 110 hours with just a 3 or 4 hours sleep on day 2 or 3. It was insane. And I'll bet you we could go back and find that I was, arguing that I was lucid, and made sense when I really didn't. And someone came into my channel on like day 4 or whatever, and held down the fort while I went and had a bath, and it's pretty insane. But so I slept after that. I probably did sleep for a long time, and I don't remember any of it. But before that, the only time I've ever slept almost as long as Chickpea was, as a young adult. So sometime after high school, but not too far after, I did LSD and stayed up all night with a friend, laughing, laughing, and laughing. And I slept for 17 hours straight after that. And that was alarming. But other than that, I don't dream, actually. I don't remember my dreams. For a long time, I thought it was because of being a chronic marijuana smoker. They say you don't enter your REM stage sleep the same way or stay there as often. But after my 110-hour sleep fast, as I called it, and with everything that was happening on YouTube, I had a bunch of weed around me, and I just stopped smoking it for about 9 months. Even now, I go weeks without smoking, and then I'll smoke for a week or whatever, but I'm not as regular. And but it didn't change the memory of dreams. I don't remember my dreams. The closest to remembering them is waking up in the morning with kind of like a feeling of revelation that sometimes is associated with something I was thinking about while I was asleep. Sometimes I can remember just a speck of why I'm waking up with this revelation, but I don't remember any dreams. And Aeon was just saying that that this AI system Archon's AI system programs involves dreaming as an impact to manipulation. And that kind of made me feel a little better. I was just like, maybe I'm not hackable or something. But other people have told me that, you know, the opposite kind of. So, but just as an aside, I do have memories of scary dreams as a child, and a few recurring dreams that I had, most of them scary, but I must have grown out of them. So, you know, those are just my thoughts on dreaming and sleeping and confessions with Bex.
Interesting.
Wow. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that you were able to even talk, let alone, you know, function running a stream. I know you said you weren't doing it to your best ability, but still, 110 hours without sleep. Crikey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and I
crazy.
did the longest live stream I've run is 27 hours. By
Wow.
myself. Like, I mean, I was the one operating it. I didn't take a sleep. That wasn't, I don't think during that week. I was known for long streams for a long time. And the thing about me was I could, as you guys can probably tell, you know, some of those streams I would monologue for 11 hours of the time, like not just monologuing. I had chat to engage with, so I wasn't just talking to the air, but you know, and I could fill the time. So yeah, it was not my best look, but
Wait, Bex.
but I did.
Wait. Did you at any point like hallucinate? Because I know they say when people stay up without sleeping over a long period of time, they start to hallucinate and stuff.
I don't remember. Not visual hallucinations. Maybe I wasn't processing things properly. I don't know. I can remember holding my own pretty well. Like I'll probably could go figure out what week it was and even find some of the appearances because I used to announce I was still on my sleep fast, right? So, but when you get to know me and you know you've seen me converse, like I wasn't at my optimum, that's for sure. I can already be long-winded and I call them thought chains. So oftentimes I leap from one thought to another. And to me, there's a sensibility between the thoughts that oftentimes I skip when I'm talking. And it's, you know, in my private life, like off YouTube, people know to ask me, how did you get from A to B? And usually I can give you the linking thought that wasn't shared as I jumped there. So, but I'll bet you I was doing a lot more of that. And then I would even say the likelihood of some of the health problems that were amplified and some of the things that have happened to me over the last few years, I'll bet you I really suffered from that though. Like I think I had my main mod on my channel. Like I said, I wasn't streaming all on my own channel, but I went live every day on my channel in that time. I was also going other places, but my main mod at that time, he stayed up with me, not completely, but he was always on my channel when I was there. And he argued that it took him a year to recover from that week.
Wow.
Wow.
OE, welcome. Objective Ethics is here, guys. OE, good to see you, mate. Do feel free to interject.
Always good to see you, everybody here on the panel. It's so nice to listen to all your stories. Dirty Lowlife, I don't know. I don't want to inconvenience you, brother, but if you want to put Mango and Wedge on the screen for just a quick minute, I always love to see those little guys. But
yes, go on.
Oh, I'm afraid I'd love to, but it's 1:10 in the morning here, and they're deep asleep in the dark, so I don't really want to disturb them. Forgive me.
That wouldn't be fair to them. That wouldn't be fair to them. I'll just have to keep dreaming about them like I do all the time because I just love them. They're so beautiful. And, you know, I just wanted to. I didn't want to interrupt too much of the conversation, but when you're talking about these things, two things to come to mind. One of them is many, many years ago. In particular, when I was working in the adult industry, I used to use heavy drugs, street drugs, whatever you want to call it, illegal drugs. And ironically, what I found with my own personal experience and what I've seen in other people is oftentimes the drugs weren't the biggest problem. I mean, they were certainly a problem for health-wise and stuff like that. But the biggest thing that really fucked up my life was the sleep deprivation. Once I started, you know, not getting proper sleep because I was too high all the time, man, I was making really bad choices and just doing really dumb shit. I was actually like, at one point I was kind of hallucinating a little bit, seeing weird shit, but like I said, it really wasn't the drug. It's actually lack of sleep. Yeah. But I did want to share a quick story. just really quickly while Chickpea's here, because I've been meaning to tell her this. Since you're here, I shouldn't talk about you like you're in the third person. Chickpea, since you're here, I've been meaning to tell you this for a long time now. I just haven't really found an opportunity to get into it where it would be most appropriate, because you and I have had conversations about your out of body experiences, and I always tend to look at these things very analytically from a scientific point of view. And I feel like you've misunderstood that I'm not meaning to be disrespectful of you, or even though I've tried to articulate that many times, I think that sometimes you get upset with me because I'm questioning, the reality of these things. And you did tell me one time that I've never had an out of body experience, so I can't relate to what you're saying. And the truth is, actually, I have had an out of body experience. I've had a few of them. Never when it was under a medical emergency, which is where most people experience these things, and never when I was using any kind of drugs, which is another common place where people experience these things. But when I was a small child, I had, for a period of a few months, I had this recurring nightmare, basically. It would be happening in my sleep, and I would wake up in my sleep and I would be out of my body. And I was so far out of my body that I was actually off the planet Earth. And it was so
no, sorry. You this is terrifying. Go ahead, Oe. Sorry.
Oh,
it was absolutely. It was.
No.
Yeah, it was it was absolutely terrifying, especially as a small child, because, like, the thing that was so frightening about it was that because I was no longer in my physical body, our eyes are forward facing, and as humans, right, Homo sapiens, we have very limited field of vision. Right. But when I was out of my body, I could see everything all around me, like everywhere, all at the same time. And the thing that freaked me out about it was that I could actually understand it. Like you normally, so we have our vision is facing forward, and we focus on one thing at a time. We have peripheral vision, but it's not like I can't hold a book up, in my peripheral vision and like read the words. I can see it there, but I can't focus on it and read the words. Right. Well, in this state of being out of my body, or at least what seemed to be out of my body, and if it's a dream or whatever, I couldn't say, but I could focus on everything all at the same time. And it just freaked me out so bad. And the feeling of coming back into my body was so painful every time. And I had to force myself, because I was so scared, I had to force myself to get back into my body. And I was so scared. I remember running down the stairs to my parents' bedroom, completely freaked out about this nightmare I was having. And they couldn't understand, because normally when kids have a nightmare, it's like about a ghost or something under the bed or whatever the fuck is going on. And I was trying to explain to them that I could see everything all over the universe all at the same time and understand it. And my parents, of course, they're half asleep, because I was waking them up and like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it didn't make any sense to anybody, but it scared the shit out of me. And it happened several times.
See, Oe, that's a remarkable story. RU says that's amazing, Oe. So many people have these kinds of experience at some point in their life. I mean, Oe, you've even said this, Oe, and I think people should hear this. You are agnostic. You're an agnostic atheist, but the point is, guys, he's agnostic. He's also that's about God. He's not saying there's nothing beyond the veil of what we can see. He just doesn't. He's not able to prove it through. He says nobody's able to prove it through argumentation. And that's fair, but Chickpea, he's not somebody who says it isn't there for sure. He's not. He's just saying we can't prove it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I appreciate that you recognize that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know what to say now.
But Oe, that is so amazing. And I know we have on this show, we've studied out of body experiences, and we've looked at, like, the kind of clinical stuff that says it's probably the brain, and they try to describe what parts of the brain may be doing certain things. But Oe, you experienced that must leave you in some kind of awe, some kind of feeling that there perhaps there is something else. I'm not saying you can prove it, but you must be left with something saying maybe.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those unanswered questions in my life. The problem is that when I hear other people's stories, I've never heard a story from a person that didn't involve something traumatic, like either being in a medical situation, the hospital, or inebriated on drugs. And unfortunately, those two situations, there are so many other plausible explanations that I'm more inclined to believe it was probably related to something, not what we might consider supernatural. Now, I don't even believe, even if people can leave their body, I still would not consider that to be supernatural, because I believe as a naturalist that everything must be part of the natural world. I think the concept of supernatural is incoherent to us. I just, I don't, it doesn't, like, my brain just doesn't understand how anybody can claim to conceptualize something like that, because it has to be conceptual. It has to be inside the natural world, as far as I understand the natural world to be.
Emotional distress seems to be a factor as well. People who are under extreme emotional distress seem to have these experiences as well, you know. So again, you could say that's something to do with brain chemistry. So when did you have yours, Chippy?
I had mine at the surgery when the doctor stuck a needle in my arm, in my vein. I can remember it was over yesterday. I just let out one almighty scream, and next thing I was out of my body. And I wish I'd stayed out.
RU says he knew someone who said when he was a kid, he used to leave his body. It felt like going on a train many nights out into space. I mean, OE, is there anything perhaps looking back? I mean, this will probably be difficult now. But was there anything you saw that perhaps you couldn't have possibly known as a child? You know?
Yeah, the only thing that I could say about that is that I could see everything all at the same time and recognize it, which was way, I mean, I'd never studied anything like cosmology or physics or any of these things, you know, at such a small age. And also the fact that I could, like I said, I could focus on everything all at the same time. And that's what freaked me out so much. And it was painful, actually painful process, because trying to stop focusing on everything so that I could say, I don't want to focus on all of this at once. I only want to focus on one thing at a time, because there's too much. Once you're out in the universe, the entire universe, everything is just, you're just part of the universe. I can't, the problem is I don't really have the words to describe it. I'm doing the best I can, but it's just,
this is amazing.
Really
so are you saying, because you said that going from the macro to the micro was painful, like it was painful to go back in your body, but are you saying being in that macro situation where you're aware of everything was also somewhat discombobulating, somewhat painful because it was too much?
It was too much because I didn't want to be there. I didn't understand what was happening. That was also very frightening. And so there was this emotional pain that was kind of just because I was in a place I didn't willingly go to, that I could think I was there willingly. The painful part of returning to the body was actually a physical pain, like a physical sensation that's hard to describe. But kind of like if you have a really bad flu and your body is really achy, or if you've ever had COVID or something like that and your body just hurts all over. It was very similar to that. It was brief and momentary, but it's like trying to stuff your foot into too small of a shoe or something. I don't know how to really describe it, but yeah, it was very visceral.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scary.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was an amazing experience. I mean, I'm kind of jealous I didn't have that. That sounds amazing.
It sounds terrifying.
No, but it's still, looking back, it's like, wow, it would fill me with awe to have that experience, you know?
Yeah.
What about, we've spoken about this before, but what are the kind of most, I'm not saying you know for sure, but kind of the most compelling kind of paranormal things you've heard, maybe even anecdotally from others around you, or I don't know, someone you know, maybe, I don't know if you've had any, but something that you say leads you to say maybe there is more. Not saying it's true, but what are the most convincing stories that say to you, actually, there is something worth considering here, but again, we haven't got enough evidence to look into it. Maybe there are causal factors we're missing, but this is weird. You know, something that really makes you scratch your head.
There was 3 instances probably that I could think of clearly in my life. One would be what I was telling you about when I was a child. That's still a head scratcher to me. The other one, I think I've told you the story when I was working as a bouncer at the strip club and that guy's feet were off the ground.
That is worth. This one is bloody weird, guys. I don't know if this is worth telling again, because this is weird.
I thought everybody here had heard that story, but if not, I'm willing to tell it again. But the third one I'll tell you really quick that I know I haven't said here before. Don't talk about it much, but my grandparents, so I was adopted several times when I was a child, and I only really felt like one man was actually my father, and he wasn't even my biological father, but he was so good to me, and he actually fully adopted me, and just treated me like his biological kids. He was just the most amazing man. He was the man who was murdered, unfortunately. And his parents, my grandparents, they were amazing people. And later on, and they were so good to me. Like I had grandparents where they would invite me as an adopted child. I would go to their house for Christmas, and they would buy Christmas gifts for all of the biological kids, and I would have to sit there and watch all my stepbrothers and sisters open presents, and nobody got me anything. It was such a weird existence. But I had one set of grandparents that treated me just like I was one of their biological blood relations or whatever. And so later in life, I was so grateful for that experience of having this concept of family, even though it was a very brief time in my life. That when they were older, my wife and I actually went and took care of my grandfather to help my grandmother out because she couldn't do it. And we actually went back after my grandfather had passed away and helped take care of my grandmother too. And it was such an honor to be able to give back to those people in that way. But I was very close to these people. I love them so much. So I was running my own business. So it got to a point to where my wife and I couldn't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because we both had our careers. I owned my own business. My wife was working at the hospital. So once my grandfather's condition deteriorated to a certain degree, we had to actually have hospice come in, they call it, right? Professionals, whatever. And so my wife and I, we moved out. They let the professionals move in, and we went about our lives, went back to our house in the city and stuff. Well, I was running my business, and on Sundays, I like to spread out my work over the weekend so I didn't have to work as many hours. And I remember it was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, and I was getting ready to go to work. I only had a couple hours to do, and I was in a good mood and everything. And I still remember what a nice day it was in the middle of the afternoon. And my grandfather came to me in like a vision. I don't know really how to explain it because I was wide awake, so I don't want to call it a dream, but just mentally, like my grandfather, I just thought of him, I guess. And he said, "You should come say goodbye." And I thought that was a really strange thought that I had. And I just couldn't shake this feeling. It was so vivid. It was so vivid. So I went into the house and told my wife, I says, "Honey, I know I'm getting ready to go to work, but I feel like I need to stop by and just make sure, just say I love you to Grandpa just one more time, and because I know he's getting close to the end." And she's like, "Okay, well, tell him I love him too." I said, "I will." And I told her what happened. I felt like I should just go say goodbye, right? So I pull into the driveway, and my uncle comes out, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "It's really weird. I just got this feeling that I should just come say goodbye to Grandpa." And he goes, "What the fuck are you talking about? How did you know?" I said, "How did I know what?" And he says, "He just died. Like, we haven't even called anybody yet." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." And so I actually got to go in there and kiss his forehead, was still warm. Yeah, like he literally had just died. And I got to tell him how much I loved him. Even though he was dead, I still felt like I got to tell him just how much he meant to me, how much I appreciated everything that him and Grandma had done for me. It was such a wonderful way for me to, be able to say goodbye to somebody, and to kiss his forehead when he was still warm but not breathing was a magical experience, really. But it was so crazy. Like my uncle was freaked out because I was like, I just came to say goodbye to Grandpa. And he's like,
he wasn't on his deathbed, it was a kind of something out of the blue, was it? Or
well, he was old, so we knew he was going to die at some point, but it wasn't like, he wasn't having any kind of like medical condition. He didn't have cancer or anything like that. He was just old, It was wild.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that is remarkable. And I have to say, my mother had a similar thing occur with her in relation to her dad when she was young as well. He died suddenly, and she was somewhere. I think she was actually in church, and she had this overwhelming feeling to go and find him because she had that thought, and he did. He died. He had died randomly. And it wasn't unusual for him not to be with them in church either, because he was a farmer. So it was that time of year or whatever. But very strange. People have,
if you want to, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying a lot of people have had very strange experiences. Yeah.
It is wild how people do have these experiences, and I could write something like that off to just coincidence. I mean, it's somebody who I cared about, so it would not be unusual for me to think about him, and just the timing could have been totally coincidental, but it was so vivid. Like he literally came to me in this vision and said, "I want you to come say goodbye to me." And I
mean,
it
look,
was so overwhelming. I acted on it. That's how visceral that feeling was.
I've had a lot of strange experiences before as well. And I mean, I've spoken about, I'll tell you one more, all right? There was a time, this was during a period when I was also having a lot of very strange synchronicities, okay? Extremely strange synchronicities, okay? So they're just putting that out there. This was, actually, it was about 11 years ago. Anyway, one night I went to sleep and I woke up just after having a dream the next morning. I woke up where I had this dream that I'd been walking along at nighttime, okay? And I was walking along in this part of town, right, where there was like an industrial estate, okay? And I was walking along through this industrial estate at night. And as I was walking through it, I decided in my head, you know what? I'm going to turn back and go back towards the way I've come from. That was my thought process in this dream as I was walking through this industrial estate at nighttime. Just when I did that, the street lights in the industrial estate dimmed and went really low. And I remember in my dream being startled and saying, "Whoa, that's a bit freaky." And then I rationalized it in my dream by saying, "Oh, that's nothing. That's just that's probably just the local council trying to save money by dimming the streetlights at night because there's not many people around here." That's what I said in my dream. It's a really fucking weird dream, guys. It was just like, why the fuck was I dreaming about an industrial estate? I'd never worked in an industrial estate. It was just a really weird dream. Anyway, I woke up, I got up from my bed, and I went straight to my desk to check the news as I was like waking up. And I remember going on the BBC website, and the first article that popped up in front of me was, "Local authorities save money by dimming streetlights at nighttime." I mean, that was, and then shortly after that, I had another dream, and in the dream, I was about to wake up, and I heard this woman's name being called Ruth, like that, yeah. And it was just, I woke up to that, and then I went out into the hallway, and a letter had been delivered. Now, this was actually an important letter I'd been waiting on. And it was one of those letters by an official, and you don't know who the official is going to be. It's bureaucracy. It could be anybody. But anyway, the person's name was Ruth that had signed it and had given me the go-ahead for something. So, yeah, that was during that period. Two weird dreams I'd had where as soon as I woke up, there was something relating to what I'd been dreaming about. Has anyone else? What do you think of that, guys? Has anyone else had similar experience?
No. I haven't, but listening to all your stories, I just want to say that, it makes me wonder sometimes, like, if it has something to do with that sort of that idea of being that people who outer body travel, astral travel, say that you're tethered to your body through this silver cord. And I wonder sometimes if, the story of objective ethics grandfather, even if he had just passed, was he on his way out when he expanded his consciousness out to reach out to objective ethics, and his body was being used as the transmitter, just like when he told the story about that. I can't remember if he said it was lucid or if it was a dream, where you were out in the macro coming back into the micro. I often wonder why people revere spirit over body so much, even in this miserable realm, as they call it, because I think that it's so nice to idealize this, that we wouldn't suffer without a body, but I believe that without a body, it's like a CD without a CD player. And so to me, there's a common thread through all of this that feels, at least that's how I'm perceiving it, is that these dreams you have, these experiences you guys are having, are actually astral traveling in your sleep. Or if the story of the macro to micro that O.E. told was a lucid dream, then, or I shouldn't say lucid if he is awake. Lucid dream is when you can control what's going on in your dream, right? Yeah. But some people astral travel, they're not sleeping, they're meditating on leaving their body. So I believe that the body itself is a transmitter, and that you are tethered. Your spirit has vision, outside of that, your eyeballs, and
Right.
that's what his grandfather was doing when he came to ask him to come say goodbye and so on and so forth. I
Yeah.
just want to say
Yeah.
before we lead into the question here, as a dreamer, as a non-dreamer, I don't aspire to astral travel, but I often hang around a channel that they do that, and I like to pretend that I'm amplifying it for people. But that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I've got to go make myself some dinner. It's really nice to see you all again, and thanks for having me twice today. And I'll
Thank you,
catch you
Bex.
again next time. Bye for now.
Okay, Bex. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. One thing I have thought about with some of those weird experiences I've had, like those dreams, is the possibility that because we are just a sea of energy, basically, and there's things like quantum entanglement, spooky action at a distance. Maybe the brain sometimes tunes into things, not in a spiritual sense, but in a very real kind of physical sense, because of physics, because of quantum physics. And maybe we somehow recognize patterns, changes, shifts in the energy. And that is what we sometimes call intuition. Sometimes it gives us a feeling of something. Sometimes it gives us a thought of something happening. But it's not woo-woo. It's a very real process, and it could be explained, as I said, by the fact that we are all just a sea of energy, and we're part of it. We're immersed in it. We're not separated. We are literally part of it, connected to it, experiencing it, and maybe it's having strange effects on us like this.
Objective. I have to say, when you said about me and my weird experience, but your experiences are far wackier than mine, and they are.
Yeah, and that's sorry.
That's fair. That's fair enough, sister. I wouldn't hold that against you at all, and I don't criticize. No, that's totally fair. It freaks me out. It freaks me out too. You're not wrong. I do absolutely love the way that Mrs. Bex articulated that, the CD without the CD player, because that to me resonates so much, so deeply with that experience that I had as a child, because it's like existence without actually experience. It's hard to understand that, but in this body, like what DNW is saying, and what Chickpea has talked about, this is how we experience reality or the world or existence itself, through our senses, right? And we remove ourselves from this physical body. There's nothing to. There can still be potentially existence, but there's no experience. And for those who have studied reincarnation from Eastern philosophy, they actually talk about this willfulness, that we actually willfully incarnate into these bodies specifically to have experiences, because without this existence, this existence at this level or on this plane, there's no actual experience. You're just simply in this state that the Buddha might refer to as nirvana, where you are free of all expectation, free of all experience, no pain, no suffering, no happiness, no joy, nothing, absolute nothingness, but you still exist.
That's what I'm looking for.
But there's also layers, Chickpea, in a lot of their ideas as well. So there can be ups and downs in terms of your direction, depending on how you think about matters.
Because I'll tell you something, I've been here for 72 years now, and I look at life, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat ad nauseum, and making my masters richer and richer and richer. And I'm sorry if that's
Chickpea,
negative.
I know what you're saying, Chickpea, but the beauty is we have an imagination, and I've always said you can be free. You can use your mind to practice, imagining better futures, and also to escape in the now.
I tried that when I was young, Grumps. It doesn't work. I don't, I tried manifesting all sorts of things, but none of it worked.
No, I'm not saying necessarily manifest. It's not always possible to manifest and change reality, but you can escape it, Chickpea, sometimes, I believe. Nobody can take your imagination away from you, Chickpea.
Well, the only escape I have is my pot plants and cats. They're my escape.
I'm glad you have something. And you are very important to them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah,
yes.
the Buddha, the people who do believe in reincarnation and take it seriously would probably warn you against having such an attachment to anything, because it's attachment that goes back into this reversal.
Yeah. We've spoken about that before. She's worried that when she goes, when she does go, she might end up in the Bardos, and there will be lots of lovely, fluffy cats there, and possibly even a David Bowie lookalike beckoning her back here. So she is trying to detach, but I don't know. I don't know.
That's why I come here, Oe, because I'm trying
if-
to break all my negative attachments, and I'm terribly worried that I don't break my positive attachments with my cats. Yes, I do know. That's why I'm trying. That's why I come here, Oe, to find one day somebody will say something, and I'll have it. Ah, that's it. That happens here. I've noticed every now and again
Well,
somebody
you
says
sometimes
something.
find things that inspire you, help you.
Yeah,
But
it's just listening to people chattering. But Oe, I tell you, yes, my 8 cats. I'm worried about that. I am.
Yeah, and it is difficult to remove ourselves from this attachment. I mean, it's these cats, they become, and the plants too. And I'm not even being disrespectful or condescending when I say that. I'm like, my wife and I just spent quite a bit of time and energy planting new flowers in the back, and I absolutely love it. I went out there this morning, and the birds were singing and the bees were buzzing, and I had a friendly little squirrel came up and asked for breakfast, and so I gave him some, of course. And I just love it all. It's just, how can you replace that with?
I love my plants. I love my plants. Yeah, I kiss
you
my
see, another way of looking at it, Chickpea, is you can try and become detached from something, from everything, but then you're bizarrely attached to the idea of becoming detached from everything. So you can't win.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's to do with my screwed up brain, unfortunately.
No, I mean, I would say chill out, try to enjoy it, and
I
try
do
to lift
chill
others
out,
up.
Grumps.
But, you get what I'm saying. You can analyze it so much that it becomes nonsensical.
Grumps, no one leads a life as chilled out as me. Nobody. Seriously.
All right, and I don't think you should say you have a screwed up brain. I think you have a beautiful mind. It breaks my heart sometimes to hear you talk, because I think that you focus on negativity too much, and it's not for me to judge. You have to live your own life. But I do care about you very much, Chick. I do want you to be happy, and I want the best for you. And so sometimes my heart breaks for you, because I feel like there is a lot of beauty in the world. It's hard for us to sometimes see it because there's a lot of bullshit going on. But there is so much beauty in the world. I mean, you see it in your flowers, for example, and you see it in your cats, and so it's there. But it's hard sometimes to not let the negativity overwhelm us. But I do think that you bring a lot to the conversation here. As much as you're here to maybe be inspired by other people, I think you actually have a lot to offer the group as well. And I'll tell you one thing, actually, I've been really upset on your behalf a few times, because you get a panel of the guys and they overtalk you and they cut you off, or they treat you just like she's just a girl. We don't have to listen to her, or sometimes even if they think they might be saying something funny, I don't think it's funny at all. I don't find it to be funny one bit. And they say, now the girls left, the guys can finally have a conversation. And I've heard people say stuff like that. It really pisses me off.
I know, I do know, Oe. Thing is, me, Oe, I'm very, very anti. I'm very radical vegan, and every day I smell meat being cooked, and every day I smell it, and it's literally like that for me. I should not be living. What?
Speckman, you're being woefully quiet. Is everything all right?
I'm actually really enjoying the show, but I must just say one thing. I wrote in the comments that Objectional Ethics is really cute and extremely good looking.
There you go. If you ever decide to try the other side, Speckman is queuing up for you.
Oh.
No, well, first of all, I am bi, but I'm happily met my wife, so I don't engage in anything else. But but no, Speckman is actually making a joke from earlier today. I hosted a lovely conversation with a very attractive young lady, and also I had somebody who joined the panel. You guys know him. He comes here sometimes. His name is Set Scales. He's a really handsome young man. He's beautiful hair, very handsome young man. And there were people in the comments who were talking about how beautiful my guest was, the young lady, and how handsome Dom was. and nobody was talking about how good looking I was, and I was like quite offended actually. I said, wait, what's going on here? So Robin's just being polite here. Yeah, he's making sure I fill up. Thank you, Robin.
Was that today? Was
So,
it?
Speckman, have you ever had a paranormal experience, Speckman? Strange experience,
Yeah.
like what we've been talking about.
Yes, and I was so surprised to hear objective ethics stories earlier, because the one where he said that he was out there and he felt that there was so much information coming at him at once that it was almost painful. My dad has literally been telling me a story very similar to that.
Wow.
For all of my life, and for the biggest part of my life, I didn't really believe it. I mean, I love my dad, and if he says that's what happened, then that's what happened. And I love my dad, but I could never really believe it until it happened to me. Well, not exactly the same. My experience wasn't painful, but something similar.
That's okay, Speckman. Don't go too hard on yourself. I think we're all in the same boat, really. We can only believe in totality, I believe, what we witness, or what we, we're hard to push over the edge in terms of belief, and but I kind of objective ethics. I am going to say this. Your experience, it kind of did bring out in me a hope that there is something like that. I don't know. I just feel like that at the moment. Sometimes I don't feel like that, but at the moment I feel like that. I really wish there was some way of feeling something amazing and continuing onwards in a journey that kind of had made sense, or a journey that offered more. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. When I heard that story, those are the feelings that swelled up in me.
Well, I don't want to. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that I believe this is true, because I'm a skeptic. However, I have studied many things, and I'm very well aware of this concept from Eastern philosophy when it comes to reincarnation. And basically, if there is this quote unquote soul, or whatever you want to call it, we go to where we are drawn to, right? This is how karma really works in this reincarnation process. So if you focus on beautiful things, on peace and love and harmony with nature, your whole existence, with other people, with the planet and everything, in your next existence, whenever you decide, so you'll go to a place of basically just peace and rest, right? But it's a very, as I said before, you don't experience anything. You're almost numb, right? You're just existing. And you can rest for millions of years, perhaps, until at some point you're going to get bored, and you're going to say, you know what, I miss romping with the dogs, or I miss running through the fields, or whatever it might be that you tend to focus on. Maybe it's playing music, or maybe it's doing bad things, right? People focus on all kinds of negative things as well, and they might miss that. Whatever you miss the most, that will ultimately pull you out of your state of rest, and you will reincarnate. Now, again, I'm not saying this is true. I want to be very clear about this, but this is what the philosophy says, right? Is that it will pull you, this desire will pull you back into the rebirth cycle, and it will happen. And you will, there's forgetfulness, because forgetfulness is actually a protection. Because if you remember past lives, and you remember terrible things that you've done, or even wonderful things you no longer have access to, either way, it can drive you insane, into a place of incredible grief. So to protect yourself from that, you forget these past lives.
And you can't prove it either. You can't prove it's true, and yet people can get really traumatized by having the idea implanted in their head. I have a friend. I literally have a friend in real life who believes that she did horrendous things in a past life, and she kind of believes that's why she suffers a bit in this life. I mean, in many ways, she has an okay life. She's a beautiful woman. She has a nice partner. She has a nice house and all that, but still, she does suffer because she has this belief. She went to one of these past life regression therapists, so-called therapists, and this belief was implanted in her head that she lived before and she did something terrible. And she feels really bad guilt because of that, and she feels that she's going to get some kind of karmic comeuppance, and it does affect her. And that's sad to me.
Yeah,
That's really sad.
The thing when I hear people talk about this is, like, I've heard people come on this channel and say that they used to be Alexander the Great and all kinds of nonsense. That is completely goes against all the philosophy when it comes to reincarnation. You don't actually come back to this planet because it like I said, it's millions of years go by in the snap of a finger when you're out in just existence without experience, right? There's time is almost not even a thing anymore because time represents change. So when you're not experiencing anything, you're not changing anything, there's no time. It's not relative to you anymore. So it's hard to conceptualize this where we're at now because we live in a temporal state, right? But when there's no time, you can literally, entire universes will be born and die before you ever come back into existence again. So somebody saying, I used to be Alexander the Great, or I used to be Jesus Christ, or Elvis Presley, or whatever crazy shit you hear people say, highly unlikely according to the actual philosophy. Now, that's not to say they have to be wrong, because maybe they're right and everybody else is wrong, because as you said, none of this is falsifiable, right? Who knows what's actually happening out there?
Objective.
That's right.
See, objective, you think the same things that I think.
Yeah, but you believe them, Chickpea. He's not. He doesn't claim to.
Oh, I believe them. I don't believe people say they were Jesus.
This is the ultimate.
I don't believe these idiots that say they were Jesus in a former life or anything. But I tell you, objectives. I've been here before. I've got even my mother said I was a bit of an odd.
I mean, there are some really strange fucking stories out there in this world. I mean, I'll tell you another one I heard. I remember I had a friend. She used to work in childcare facility, so basically a preschool place where parents sent their kids when they went off to work. And she said that some of these kids, I don't know what age they'd be there, maybe 2-3 years old. Some of these kids would all sit around talking to a character, a young boy, I think it was, and they had a name for him. And they'd describe him, and they'd all describe him the same. And they were having full-blown conversations with him. And apparently this happened again and again. Now, I was trying to be cynical and say, yeah, some kid started it. Some kid had, childhood schizophrenia, started it. They all just, basically got inspired by that. And they're all kind of playing along. And maybe they're imagining it. But more or less, it's kind of this weird subculture that's developed. And, one kid leaves, but the culture remains. And that's what's going on here, So, there's always going to be, the wheel keeps turning, new kids keep coming in, this little subculture keeps continuing. But it all started with some kid with kind of, I don't know, a hallucination or something. But no, she said that this particular place she's in, they have real big clear outs sometime, and there aren't any kids left in the group, to keep the subculture going. And yet they still say they're talking to this boy with this name. And yeah, it is weird. You hear these things now and again. They are really bloody weird. And
sorry.
What do you think of that, Chickpea?
Weird. Did I ever tell you my story about the hypnotherapist that regressed me back to before I was born?
Yeah, you did, and I was thinking about you right now, and as everybody was talking, because it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Chickpea, but was it you or somebody else that I'm thinking of? Because I've talked to other people who've had shared experiences with me of past lives, so I might be confusing with somebody else. But didn't you say something about a house that you knew, or a picket fence or something that you had not, that you parents knew about, but you? Am I confusing with somebody else? Okay, I'm sorry.
But I had this back in the 80s. I went to see a hypnotherapist to stop smoking. And basically, he sort of played word games with me. And the next thing it was all a bit strange, but I found myself in another dimension. I witnessed my own conception with these two cells, blah, blah, blah. I witnessed the fetus growing and growing it was a whole different time thing. Then something happened to the forehead, so I put a V on it to make it better. Then I entered it. But I was born with a big red V on my forehead. My mother told me that. When I told her this story, she said, but you were born with a big V on your forehead. It was just a temporary birthmark or something. But that caused me to have a breakdown because it completely threw me off my little treadmill. I still haven't recovered.
So No, that's fascinating, and I have heard you mention this before, but I think so. I want to just clarify my understanding correctly. So it's as if you were witnessing the zygote turn into a fetus, and then at some point you entered the fetus. Is that what I'm understanding it?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Where how long were you in the fetus before the fetus was born? Was it like right before birth, or were you existing inside your mother's stomach for a while?
Just before it would have been born. Just before it would have
Right
been born.
before birth. Wow. That is very interesting on the timing issue of that.
Yes, it's and I'm very unhappy about it because, well, I don't know if I'm unhappy or not. It's just that, yeah, I went to see a therapist to stop smoking, and that happened instead. It was all very strange. Plus, he also dragged up my entire childhood, so I ended up murderous, and I ended up in hospital.
Yeah, but there is this thing called the power of suggestion, Chickpea. You should look into it.
No.
Have you looked at people like Darren Brown and some of these mentalists? They call them. They're able to put ideas in people's heads that weren't there before.
My mother confirmed it, Grumps. My mother confirmed it.
The thing about the V is weird. I'll give you that much.
My mother confirmed it. She did.
Although I'm not a midwife, how often are people born with V's on their forehead?
Grumps, yes, there is, but I wasn't born in that way that would occur to make that happen. I was born head first, blah, blah, head up, head facing ceiling. So it wouldn't have happened. No, it's very strange. My mother said, what a weird thing.
People believe a lot of weird shit, Chippy. I'd like to know how often people are born with V's on their forehead.
Well, I don't know. Stop contradicting me, Grumps. I never, ever, ever contradict you, ever.
I'm not contradicting you. I'm merely asking how many people are born with V's on their forehead.
Not that many.
Because I met a gentleman who showed me the palm of his hand one, and because of the way the lines on his palm look like the letter M, he swore to me he was related to Captain Morgan or something from the Caribbean.
I've got M on my hands.
All it is it's a common fucking way of the hand going line. I mean,
to get that V on one's forehead, one has to be born feet first, head down, so that you're pressed against your mother's tailbone. I was not born like that. I came out head first, head up.
Dirty Lowlife says he was born with a D on his forehead. That did make me laugh. Yeah.
Stop it, Dirty. No objectives. Even my mother thinks.
Emily had a delicious vegan pizza tonight. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. Anybody else want to pop on?
Wait a minute. Now, we don't like to spread misinformation on this channel. If it was vegan, it couldn't have been that good.
Well,
stop it, OE. Stop it.
The proof is in the description there. Emily is going vegan, apparently.
I've literally had cauliflower pizza, vegan cauliflower pizza.
Nice.
And I enjoyed it so much that every single time that I went back to the particular wonderful lady that made these pizzas, I always said, "Oh, is there any chance of getting another vegan cauliflower pizza?"
Wow. Well
You're
done.
making me hungry, Speckman. Please, it's too late to eat. Okay, guys. Well, I think we'll close things up for now.
Why?
We'll come back because it's running late.
Is
that okay?
2 o'clock in the morning. Thing is, I've been sleeping all day long. So wide awake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look.
Grump.
Sorry, darling.
I said you're an old grump.
I am an old grump. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for pointing that out. I wasn't aware of it, but since you met me, you've done nothing but tell me I am, and I appreciate you for it. So, Chippy, would you like to give your closing remarks? Oe's gone. Thank you, Oe. Thank you, Speckman. Chickpea, do you want to give your closing remarks?
Thanks for a nice show tonight, Gramps. I really enjoyed it. I'll have to go back and listen to the beginning because I didn't listen to the beginning. So, because I was sleeping away.
Okay. Well, look, seeing as you want to keep talking, there is a Discord for members. You can go and chat there. There will be people there. And you can have a little chinwag until you decide to go to bed. So, guys, if you want to join the Discord, please do. Members only. Just click on the link, join, and you're there. Astroman's there now as well, so that's good.
Did you go to Team U to look for the pictures?
So yes. I already did a vegan equilibrium on your Discord, so do look it up. Sorry, Chickpea, what did you say?
Did you go to Team U to look for the cat pictures?
No, I didn't, Chickpea.
They are good.
I took your word for it.
They are.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to buy them.
Okay, why not?
I'm sorry.
Right.
I just don't think Max would like that. You know, creating false idols on my wall when I already have a lovely dog to look after. You know.
I wasn't talking about Max.
Yeah.
My suggestion was for somebody else.
Oh, I see. I see.
I didn't
well, maybe. Thank you, OE, for your amazing stories. They were amazing stories that OE told us tonight.
Yes,
I really enjoyed
were,
listening to
they?
them. And they did fill me with a sense of awe. They did. I couldn't help but have some kind of, wonderment at what is going on and like hope that there is something greater that makes everything okay, Chickpea. That makes everything make sense. Isn't that just a natural human desire?
I'd like to
I shouldn't feel guilty for wanting that.
I'd like to go back to the Garden of Eden, actually, because I'm always happy when there's animals around, flowers and plants and everything. And I am. Because I tell you something, these cars and these skyscrapers are crashing in on me, and they really
Thank you, Nibbles, for affirming what I was hoping. Thank you. Okay, let's say good night then. Good night, Chippy. Say your... All right, yeah, that's
night, everyone. Night, Joey. Night, you old grumpy guts. Grumpy guts.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.